Markets are poised to open higher in a week that's been characterized by a lot of these breaking news headlines with Iran and tons of earnings reports, including, of course, NVDA's. Here is the S&P 500, again, closing here around 743, poised to open just shy of 745 as of right now. We still have, of course, an hour and a half before that opening bell. NASDAQ also looking stronger. If you take a look at USO, though, pulling back a little bit, though, I guess poised to open pretty much right where we closed. Now, of course, we had some headlines, actually a flurry of back and forth headlines yesterday about whether or not we, A, would get some kind of draft agreement between the U.S. and Iran, and B, when it would be announced. We haven't heard anything yet, but of course, we will keep you posted throughout the day. And I mentioned earnings. We did have more last night from the likes of Workday, Webull, and Zoom Communications. SA Lauder also going to be on watch here, calling off talks with Puig. So lots to talk about this morning, Sharif, as there has been every morning.
Absolutely, Adara. There's a lot of green in the market this morning. Good morning, guys. Marco Rubio using words I haven't heard him say in a long time. Good signs that possibly a deal could manifest. So all eyes on that. Hopefully, maybe we'll get something before the trading day is up. As Adara mentioned, there's a lot of earnings names to speak about. Most of them are green here, with the exception of a few. You got Workday up high single digits, Raw Stores as well, closing in on 5%. Take-Two Interactive up 3, Zoom, that pandemic darling, up 7 3/4 Adara. And we're continuing to watch Enphase and the solar stocks as they continue to really break out. Good note this morning from analysts on Enphase.
Yeah, I think it's also worth noting here, I'm sure the guys are going to discuss this, but big gap down to the tune of nearly 40%. Neil and I were talking about pre-market on FUTU, F-U-T-U. You've also got TIGR on watch to the downside. Of course, China's Security Regulatory Commission reportedly announcing plans to eliminate illegal cross-border operations by certain offshore securities. So again, specifically FUTU and this TIGR were the ones that got hit by this. Other Chinese ADRs trading lower. We're definitely going to discuss this in detail later, but I think worth addressing here. Good morning, Sean and Neil, and the happiest of Fridays.
Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. Unless you literally hold Chinese fintech. Because that's a bad one. Like, there's also online like X stock and these other ways that I guess people are going to be able to get access, indirect access to the U.S. equities. People will find workarounds, but man, if you're in Tiger or FUTU, just overnight, you don't see the regulators make moves that crush individual names and sectors here. So I feel bad for anybody that's caught in that. But you know what's also up that we didn't just get said? Day 2 for the quantum names. I know 2% isn't 30, but you're probably not going to gap up another bajillion% for QBTS and IBM and QBT and all of the quantum names yesterday that were super strong. You got to be looking there. Day 2 for NVIDIA, it managed to hold the low. Let's see if it can do it again. Right, it held some support at 218. The whole notion of you usually sell, like NVIDIA lately, it's been selling after their earnings, regardless of how good they are. That kind of held true again in yesterday's trade, but usually catches a bid. Let's see if it can do a little bit of continuation. And don't forget, the chip names that are not NVIDIA, that's been where the jam is. The ARMs, the Intels, the AMDs, the Marvells, like just huge days. Like I'm looking through the watch list, like not the earnings names that are in there. Maybe some people hold them, but they're not the day trading types. But all the stuff that you normally look at that was super hot fire yesterday, there's a good reason to go back to some of those wells here on a good looking Friday. And the Jays won, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, I was looking at the watch list, and it is going to be a very, very slow day in my opinion, but welcome to be here, guys. I'm here to stay. I have no idea what that means, but shout out to Glass Half Full. I was here to start, I'm here to stay, and I'm here all the way to the end. So if you don't like it, hit the back seat there. But thank you, Glass Half Full, man. We're going to try to put on the best show possible for everybody every single day. And the show keeps on getting better and better. And all we keep doing is adding more and more talent to the show. And you can see in the back that we've got Adara now, obviously Sharif, we've added Joe. We got some guy named Neil over here. And then we have some great help in the back. So we're really excited for that. Look, today we have, see, I'm not going anywhere, I told you. Today we have Rigetti. Today we're going to try to actually take the trade instead of just mark it down. So yeah, I'm all about this one for a day 2 play, man. We written down 21.50 where we closed yesterday to watch out for. Have no idea what price we're actually going to take. Yesterday we should have taken 18.50. Like that's exactly what we wrote down right there in the morning, 18.50, and that's exactly what it went to right at 9:30, and then it ripped. So yeah, we're going to be looking at something like that today. If we can get a little bit of a dip down, we'll look to take it and then rip that thing back up to the upside. Day 2 only, right? It's not like there's much else going on today. As I said, there's very limited. I know nothing about this Futu or Tiger. I'll just pass it off to Neil and Adair and all those guys for that one. But what I do know about is Apple, and I don't think there's even a better chart, almost in the market on a stock that you can actually trust. Because like Apple, not only do we are loaded up in Apple stock, this is now just like on an absolute line to highs. Like this name is, like, this is Apple. You're talking about a $4 trillion plus company here that just keeps on chugging higher and higher and higher. Yo, what's up, Randy, my guy over here? Here's an Apple fan right here. This guy owns many Apple products. Probably too many Apple products, Randy, but there it is. Thank you for supporting the stock, my guy. It just keeps on going higher. It's nice to have you here on a Friday.
Yeah, what's the
Randy.
occasion?
If you're interested, it's Fish and Chips Friday. So if you don't like the lunch, you are Fish and Chips Friday'd up. It was Adara's pick. So yesterday we got a bunch of super chats, and Adara picked Fish and Chips Friday. So there's gonna be some of that throwing around. So you let me know. See, if I would have been involved in that, I would have put down brisket as an option. And then we could have got that going there, But anyways, yeah, no, this is going to be a good one, man. We got Apple on the mind. So I've only got 2 stocks written down so far. It's Rigetti and it's Apple, and it's ready to go. We didn't get home last night until 10:30. Shout out to my guy Les that came by and talked all about Sharif, talked all about Fish Friday, talked all about everything there. It was nice to meet you at the game, my friend. He wondered if I was a better coach or better trader. Much better coach than trader. I let him know there, but he's also willing to give you some tennis lessons up there, Sharif. I didn't realize you were already into that with somebody as well.
He loves tennis, man.
Oh yeah, I know he loves tennis, and then he also wants to play pickleball. So I'm gonna get ready to play some pickleball over there. But yeah, guys, everything is here. Everything's ready to rock and roll. We're excited. It's 8:07. So like I said, not too much. There was a couple numbers.
AZ's in the chat. No early close today. It is a holiday on Monday, but there's no early close. Regular day of trading today, Memorial Day, markets are closed. U.S. markets are closed on Monday. So if you show up here, ain't nobody going to be trading. Toronto markets are open, but no one's going to care. When the crazy thing is, when the U.S. markets close, shocker, volume everywhere else pretty much dies down. So even Toronto traders kind of take the day off. So yeah, just make sure you rest up, get a fun long weekend. But we got a whole full day of trading to get to today. So don't worry at all about that. SPX Surfer, these are not Oriole colors. Just because I'm wearing black.
They are Oriole colors.
Yeah, but just I'm
It doesn't mean you're supporting them.
That's what I'm saying.
They are Oriole colors.
I'm wearing a shirt that happens to be black and have a little bit of
I guess I'm wearing Dodger colors or Blue Jay colors or insert blue team here.
That's what I'm saying. I can't wear blue every day.
At any time.
I mean, I could wear blue every single day.
But I'm glad you're supporting the Baltimore Orioles. That's great to hear.
Well, they need all the help they can get. There, how about that?
There we go. Joe, man, yesterday we had Montreal Canadiens. I don't know if you saw, they absolutely dominated the Canes. Looks like the Canes took a couple 2 weeks off there, and Montreal's still in playoff mode. So that holds chances for the Cup to return home at some point. But everyone in Toronto wants the Cup to remain, come back to Canada. But Montreal is like, one of the it's like a big arch rival there, nemesis sort of, as we go back to the original 6. And then tonight we've got, me and Joe still got that. I gotta hope that the Colorado Avalanche can pick up their game a little bit over here. I'm going to owe this guy a couple more beers over there. But so that's what we're looking forward to. And then basketball, I didn't see what happened last
night. The Knicks.
Don't
worry about the Knicks.
Okay. No, I wasn't.
You don't even have to watch. The Knicks are going to have no trouble. Don't worry about it.
Like I said, I got home and I didn't, I was paying attention to the hockey and forgot.
They were funny. Control pretty much the whole way.
Sneeze. Okay. Yeah, well, that's what I thought that was. Yeah. Just like I thought after the first, we had almost an upset there in game 1. The Knicks came back and dominated it, and I think Cleveland. I mean, the Raptors almost beat Cleveland.
Yeah,
it went to Game 7. against the Raptors, and that was 4 versus 5.
What are you gonna do?
So, yeah, anyways, I think NBA is a fun time here. But yeah, the market, USO, just chilling around there. I'm still looking at Apple. I put out a tweet there asking for some help to see if anybody knew anything what to trade today. I said, hey man, looking a little bit light here this AM. What are you guys looking to trade? Oh, here's Mike P. D. Ryder. What's up, Mike Peter Ryder? You had Neil and I scared. There was some other dude in the chat talking a whole bunch. I said, is this guy on another alias over here today? But no, he is back in here. He's looking at random names that I've never heard of. So AKTX, that is Akari. You're looking at that. You're looking at Picocella there, nice. And Leferos, all right, you're killing it over here. Coastal Investment says, yo, let's look at APLD. We had a question for that from Neil yesterday, so that was a good one. We like some APLD action there. Waiting for a morning rip, says Tom, looking for a dip followed by a rip. Yes, that's what I have on Apple, so hopefully that will wind up happening. WDC, a good one for sure, man. As yesterday, although we talked about NVIDIA getting going on their report, it was the other names that started to spike up there. Western Digital up 5%, 6% yesterday. We had SanDisk, we had Micron moving around. And then the one that I missed, we got CEG, but we didn't get IREN. We should have got it. We missed it, but we got ARM. So we sold some ARM yesterday, and now ARM's just a little down. I was thinking about actually putting that money into NVIDIA, the ARM deal yesterday. Well, I sold some at $297, but I want to get that. Oh, okay. I want to get that money back in somewhere. So we'll put that $7 in our pocket right now, and then we will look for more opportunities to, display or put out our capital into deploy, display. We'll display trades, but we'll deploy capital. So hopefully that'll happen. And it looks like, it's going to be a good one. Flat so far. It was pretty flat yesterday. The market was out. Remember it closed, we were like 0.17 for both markets.
It was individual names. Like it was certain aspects of the chips that were going to run, and it was the quantum names that were running. And there were some other things that were out there. Like Nike had another good day. Today, if you're looking for bad, it's like basically catching strays left, right, and center if you're a Chinese stock. The news was Chinese fintech, but Baba's down 4%.
Oh, wow, okay.
Li Auto, I'm just going through names that didn't have a negative story. Li Auto's down 5%, making a 52-week low, just because of the Chinese stock.
We talked about, this is why you can't. Can you actually put real money into China? I don't think you can, honestly.
The regulators...
Look at that story that just
never happen. This would never happen in North America. It wouldn't happen in Europe. I thought about that for a second there, but it really wouldn't. I mean, JKL. Today I'm actually looking at MSTR instead of IBIT, JKL. You're watching USO short. Watching USO and then short MSTR. Okay, gotcha. So you're not shorting USO. But Bitcoin's not doing much, but it is slightly down today. And MSTR does have this very obvious all week long channel that it's just been sitting in. From Monday, 162 bottom, and then a 169 top. I mean, that's pretty...
Something in the market happening right now.
We're getting a bit of a move down here in USO.
Yeah, the market, the ES and the NASDAQ are starting to pump up here. We were just talking, it just doubled. It was just at 0.18. So let's go over to Darren and find out if there's anything going on. NASDAQ with a move up.
Yeah, I saw this about a minute ago, I think is when this started. I've been looking into it. I have not seen anything yet. I do want to do some housekeeping, though, while I'm up here. And if the story pops up while we're here, of course, we'll let you guys know. Comments coming from Kevin Hassett ahead of Kevin Warsh's official, swearing in as the Fed chair today at 11 a.m. Hassett saying that Warsh will return the Fed to its roots and that President Trump trusts that Warsh will be data dependent. Now, speaking of data, we get some at 10 a.m. University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment coming through. That can be a number that occasionally does move the market here from time to time. Fed's Waller also set to speak at 10 a.m. And guys, we will have Michael Noss coming through in 15 minutes. I have the news, guys, for this market. Push down in oil, pop up in the market as Al Arabia reports that the Pakistani army chief is on his way to Tehran. So, of course, Pakistan mediators here heading over to Tehran. I mean, maybe we get some kind of resolution today, Sri.
God, I hope so, Adair. I mean, it's been a really long time here. Let's get this wrapped up. There's been some good, developments overnight. As I mentioned, Secretary of State Marco Rubio making some positive comments that I hadn't heard him state in a while. President Trump obviously is ever the ambitious, ever the optimistic individual that the war will end. So hopefully this ends sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think in the meantime, too, while we're here, I want to discuss AMD because AMD did pop higher, holding up pretty well. Lisa Su, we know, went to China earlier this week, and she was in Taiwan, and she's speaking quite positively here.
She is. She's also throwing down some money. $10 billion. She's not going at it alone, though. She's actually going to get some local partners from Taiwan, Foxconn amongst some of them. But let's talk about what she's going to do with that money. So we always talk about the MI450, the MI350, as well as we should. Of course, it was a great catch up for AMD to NVIDIA. But really overshadowed here is the 6th generation of their CPU called the EPYC server CPU. And it's based on Taiwan Semi's 2-nanometer technology. And that's what she's going over there to do. And as we've been talking about many times on this desk, CPUs are back in vogue, baby, because inference relies a lot more on CPUs than they do on GPUs. Anyway, remember this whole issue with Taiwan Semi's strained capacity for chip on wafer on substrate, CoWoS, as we call it? Well, AMD was very alive to that issue, and they brought up a new technology called elevated fan out bridge. I don't know what that is, but basically it helps with some of the issues that they had with Taiwan Semi not being able to meet some of the demand. Also, that $10 billion investment to backstop their Helios rack platform, each rack is going to have 72 Instinct MI450X GPUs, and underreported is that they've already signed a mammoth deal with Meta, with OpenAI for 6 gigawatts of deployment each. So they already have a customer for that as soon as it starts coming out. I'm talking about the GPUs and the racks, Adair. So let's see how they do on the day.
Yeah, and I mean, NVIDIA, kind of interesting too. Not really with the chip headline, though. They actually, their venture arm, named N Ventures, which is kind of fun, they invested in a quantum-based company in France. So interesting look there, especially with the quantum announcements yesterday. I also want to let you guys know Hassett is still speaking. He's encouraging central banks to focus on oil price increases, also saying that Kevin Warsh will manage the interest rate situation well, and he wants Powell to step aside. What are you guys feeling here about AMD, oil, or any of the many things that were just mentioned here?
Yesterday, we trended down all day in USO, and that led to a good day for the markets. Yesterday, one of the things that came out of the NVIDIA report was even them talking about, hey, CPUs are going to be a big surge for us. And I remember thinking, well, why the heck was AMD? And if that was one of the takeaways from the call, then what was going on with AMD and Intel being down 3%? Well, that didn't last very long, both of them with a pretty good rally. You're cleared out the 450. That actually looks, you had Intel at that 114 again written down, but when you look at the AMD at the 450, that's kind of a double top the last couple of sessions. You already had the wipeout bottom. You get a double top. That's a pretty good dip zone. Juxtapose that with what I'm looking at for Intel. Like, Intel's got more of a consolidative level at the 14 with a breakout up top. But if we go, if the market dips, there'll be plenty of opportunities. Like, if we dip, I guess you simultaneously would be looking at both of them. But like the 114 on Intel, AMD is an example. An example of sometimes you can have all the thought in the world of something being too frothy or it's gone too far, too fast. But the proof's in the pudding when there is some kind of a dip or a pullback. When you see anything pull back that 15, 20% from the highs. And what's the response after that? And it's all buy. And it's getting back to the top faster than it pulled back is also a pretty important thing. Like, it's snapping back up. You go down for 6 or 7 days, you're back to the high in 3. Yeah, well, that's pretty bullish. And as long as that's true, you just got to ride the wave, or whatever. Someone used the ride the wave analogy. I like that one. You just got to ride the wave. It's taking you higher at this particular point. So that means buy the dips is the scenario here. I think that applies to AMD. It applies to Intel. It's a bit of a different vibe for NVIDIA because they're still only day 2 after the earnings. So yeah, it's got a good support at the 18, but it just doesn't have the strength behind it that AMD is going to have. Or the momentum, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's a little bit bigger, and even though they're the epicenter of everything, right now they're on the back burner, relatively speaking. There's not much you can do about it. It's still a great company. The value proposition just gets better and better for NVIDIA, but it will break out in its own time, which is fine. Still love it. As a matter of fact, like this is one where at least a week after earnings, I want to be picking it up because that's been the pattern. Like, you wait for a week, 2 weeks, the last couple of earnings for NVIDIA, and that's been the time to go.
Yeah, I'm putting in an order right now to buy some NVIDIA right now. Just because, like I said, I sold out some ARM yesterday, so I'm just going to actually put some back into NVIDIA right here. See if we can get something. Oh, that's still ARM. Okay. See if we can get some. I'm putting the order in right as we speak. So hold on a second. Slide to place order. There we go. Okay. So I think I'm going to be buying some NVIDIA if we could dip down just even a little bit into this 219 area. I just want to put that money back to work already. There. ARM went parabolic, NVIDIA's not. I think NVIDIA's the king. I'm still loaded up in NVIDIA, and I actually want to get longer. The valuation there, I mean, if anything, I would like NVIDIA at these levels. I like some softy, which I got to review and see what kind of softy levels I have there, and if I need to buy some more there. But yeah, let's get some more money into NVIDIA after that kind of a report. I mean, the fact that it's down like this is, let's just take advantage of that. There's a dip down. There's what happened. Here's a dip down. Let's just remember, who's in charge here. So I like the stock, and I am going to get longer. So there we go. NVIDIA, a name that I really like for myself, both probably the largest holding in all of my accounts. So we're gonna make that even bigger now. So that's probably not a great portfolio management strategy, but I have been putting a lot of money into the indexes. So that's been sort of the hedge against all that. Still have a couple years to retirement, so we're not super worried about anything yet. But yeah, it looks like it's not frothy quite yet, not with these valuations anyways. And yeah, I really like, we've done really well on Marvell. That's the one that I'm not trying to trim on. I think that this still does have more upside to it. So Marvell, I don't think you're going to get like a 4-bag or whatever like we did on Marvell. You're not going to get that in NVIDIA. But you're going to get much more solid and steady growth. So if Marvell can come back into 160 or something, then maybe there's something to talk about. I mean, it was only there last week. So 195, 196, up another 3% for MRVL. So, the story is not stopping in these big chip names, as we talked about earlier, ARM, Marvell, everything as well. Chinese names getting hit early here today. Dell is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. Like, all of these names are just all-time high. I mean, the market's at all-time highs.
You just got to have a few.
It's got to be in the market. This is the whole point of what we're doing. So, all right, let's go back over the desk and see what Joe's up to.
All right, guys, good morning. Let's take a look at some of the options activity from yesterday. We're going to kick things off with AAPL, hitting another all-time high here, guys. We're going to be looking at this $310 mark. We've been talking about this for quite some time. Not much resistance until we fall into this specific level. Now, as for that, open interest sitting around 29,800 contracts with volume at 43,000 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session. But you can see those contracts aren't very expensive. Now, what we can do is also use our delta metric to see the probability of by the end of the week, by today, by the end of the session, if this specific contract is going to close in the money. And the options contract and the options world is saying there is a 93% chance that we are not going to close above $310. So there might be a little bit of a play. $2 spread there, guys, and your gamma also relatively cool, as it typically is with Apple. Now, as for our at-the-money IV, that's down to 21.6%, but I want us to focus on the actual contract itself. So as AAPL continues to climb, the contract itself actually continues to slide, so you're losing money as this specific name puts in all-time highs, and then the contract is essentially around its lows and will expire worthless most likely by the end of the day. Why can we assume that? Well, our delta, once again, 93% chance that we are going to expire out of the money. Moving forward, let's take a look at Applied Digital, signing some new big contracts here, guys, expiring today. And you can see this is a $50 name that is substantially more, almost 3 times more than what the Apple contracts are worth. But we're going to be taking a look at that $50 marker, open interest around 5,000 contracts and volume around 12,500. Now, as for the delta, guys, you can see there's a slight increase. So about a 75% chance that we are going to, or 73% chance that we can potentially expire in the money on this specific name in Applied Digital. Now, our gamma is almost just a little bit less than half of what our delta is. So that's pretty high, guys, and our at-the-money IV sitting around 121.8%. Now, moving forward, we know that the quantum space was on fire yesterday, so we're going to take a look at a couple of the names and maybe some laggards here. RGTI, IonQ, QBTS, some names that were up substantially yesterday. RGTI WEEKDAY to the tune of 23% around its highs. So the strike price of $26, there's some open interest there. Nothing substantial, 5,600 with volume around 1,370 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session. Now, as for IonQ volume, we had 13,600 contracts open and closed at that $60 strike price. But the RGTI, it's going to be expiring next week, guys. IonQ is going to be expiring today. Open interest on IonQ is going to be around 3,270. And then as for QBTS, a potential level, once again expiring today. Volume relatively light. Open interest light as well, too, guys, at that $28.50 marker. Let's send it back to the boys. Let's see if this quantum space is going to be in play today.
Yes. 100% it's going to be in play today. Like, you just have to be, I don't know, if you're not looking here, it's like what moved more as a group? Nothing, more or less. But it has to be. Which name you like doesn't really make a difference. I think for most of the day, QBTS and Rigetti had less than a 1% difference in move, and the charts were near identical. I don't know that it'll be terribly different today. So, yesterday was a bit of a failure. You had a key 21.5 level where it did a reversion after more or less dipping all pre-market. We get a consolidation, not a dip, but looking at the next key level sort of similarly with a breakout point and a prior resistance at 24.75. I mean, you got to probably give that a little wiggle room, the 24.5 level, just looking for the dip and rip position here in a continuation. The U.S. government taking the stake, throw in the short float. You throw in the daily chart breakout, the break of the 200 period. And you could say this about, like I said, you could pull up some of the other names and they'll probably look very similar. But QBTS is the one I'm looking for. Not at the point where I'd want to be short this to start the day. But anything can happen. Like if all of a sudden it's losing that level and they're all trending down under VWAP, maybe that would change my mind. But we're going dip and rip on QBTS in the quantum space. And still love that IBM. Looking very good. IBM and Alphabet, two good ways that you can also be in this without having to worry about the zero.
Yeah, sorry, that's we bought IBM yesterday off open, and that was a good price, 233 off open yesterday. So, yeah, for me here, number one play today is going to be RGTI. So we'll look at some Rigetti here. It's back-to-back days. It's been on the watch list. Hopefully today we'll actually get long something. So here goes Rigetti, 21.50 back to yesterday's close. It's obviously up today. The sticky note is now out. Actually, you guys always ask for it, so let me put it quickly into the chat there. We'll copy and paste it out and put it in there for you. But it's, yeah, there it is. So already up 2.68%. I do feel like we could get this move down. Yesterday I was tracking the 200 period moving average and we was right down here. And we called that level. Unfortunately, it only hit right away and then took off. Was hoping that, this maybe could have continued and, given me at least 5 minutes to think about it. But it didn't. And then it ripped up. And then we were trading NVDA and Microsoft and all that. So we put it on the side burner. We should not have. Came back in, look at the 200 period hold right here on Rigetti. It doesn't matter. They're all going to look the same from yesterday. And then there it is. So we'll look to see. Right now it's looking like 22 bucks. If we dip down into that level, that could be a start of it. I wrote down 21.50 because that was yesterday's high. If we come into that area, that's where I really think there could be some support. So if we hang out around 22 bucks, I think that's good enough for me. And then, yeah, yesterday I just did lucky math on this one and just said, let's play half the pullback there in IBM. So when this happened, we actually got long in this consolidation in my TFSA account. So it's like I guess it's like an IR, what do you guys call it? Roth account there where you can sort of get in and out with some taxable advantages. So I'm not, like I sold some ARM yesterday. I really do think that IBM could be, I'm not going to say it's the next Intel because that's like easy to say that because this is an old tech name that, could get going. But I really think like up into here is very possible for IBM as all these other names have ripped up into highs. What do these guys have? Quantum, they have compute power, they have server side. I think IBM right here, if you really loaded the boat and I just averaged up into my position. So we already have an IBM position from probably 20 years ago. So I'm going to, it's funny, I should actually look back and find out like where some of those initial buys actually were and like what the dates were, and we could talk about it more seriously. But right into there, 260, 261, like that's been a good top going all the way back to mid-February. So I don't want to get too excited about IBM here. Obviously, we made a great trade yesterday. This is a little different than ARM. You know, we trimmed ARM because ARM has gone from $200 to $300 and made all-time highs in 2 weeks. This name, I think, can make all-time highs. Let's give it at least 2 weeks and see if we can get back up to those levels before we decide to trim anything. If it's a bigger position of yours and you're nervous about it, we had someone in the chat yesterday saying that, you know, the NASDAQ was going to fall down on any misstep by Iran or the U.S. I do believe that to be true. So if something like that does happen, you know, IBM is at a nice little spot here where you probably won't regret selling some of it. So, but I'm going to be holding on to IBM for quite a while, probably forever. And there was just a note there about IBM. What was it? IBM sort of Netflix. Just IBM ServiceNow and Netflix being talked about on CNBC. So Netflix is another name where, I don't know, we're going to have Michael on momentarily.
Actually bounced yesterday, believe it or not.
Yeah, I was going to look at that. We always talked about that $88 level. We did break below it into 85. I don't know about Netflix, what we want to do with that name. I mean, I still like Netflix. We still pay that $30 a month. I got my parents on the same account as me. I don't know. The kids like it. They download stuff and watch it, but I don't know. It's paying a lot for all this live TV. They actually signed a deal, Breakfast Club, I think it was. They're going to be one of the first streaming services, something like that, to show live, I think it's live daily content. So I actually think, although we say, see you later, Stephen Colbert, 1,800 shows. His last show ended last night. I started watching a little bit of that there when he went. Cranston was on it, obviously. He had big people on the show last night. I actually think he'll sign with Netflix. That's going to be one of my calls here. I think Colbert, somebody will go over. Netflix will have a evening show, and those things don't run too expensive, I don't think. I mean, obviously you got to pay the hosts, but let's see if that, you know, keeps on chugging along for Netflix as live TV could easily become something. They do have podcasts, they have gaming, things like that.
That's the only place to expand, right?
Wait to see.
That's all that's left for them, and he definitely fits the mold for Netflix, which I think most people would get. Like it's, that's one of the reasons why if you look at everything that's happening with the Warner Brothers deal, it is all political. Absolutely all political. Like right now there's a push to get the deal blocked, and it's from the Democrats, and had it been the Netflix was doing it instead of Paramount Skydance, then it would be the other side of the aisle that would be pushing to block it. And it literally just comes down to who eventually has CNN. Mm-hmm. Right, because it's like major news media, and one of them will go to what scene is left or right, and so that's this whole battle. It's like either deal should have gotten done, but the only reason Warner Brothers is not doing anything, and it's just all that. But I think we're locked and loaded because I have to look around for some reason a ladder to be able to see the screen, but I do see we have our good friend Michael Moss on a Friday. He's locked and loaded and ready to go. So without further ado, we'll throw it back up to the desk and listen to Michael. Or not. We can just chill right here. It's all good. My bad there, Andre. I think we'll go to Michael now.
Happy Friday, Mr. Michael Noss. Excited to talk to you today. I know you have bonds on mine. How are you doing this morning, though, before we get into that?
Everything's good, right? Sometimes you just got to turn it off, turn it back on, right? Ultimate IT solution.
Always the best way to do it. If it's not working, just turn off, turn it back on. In the meantime, though, we're going to turn on this discussion, if we may, into bonds, because I know you said you've been looking at these right now.
Yeah, I know, I was watching the show, as always. You guys are talking quantum computers and AI chips, and then I come in as the boomer and talk about bonds. But if you bear with me a bit, I think I'll explain why this is going to be important if this ends up turning out the way that I think it will. And, most people noticed, right? We had this huge kind of surge over the last couple days in bonds. And when people talk bonds, I think it's always important to note that when we're talking bonds, we're really talking rates. And we're talking how much is the interest rate out there for, buying a house or financing debt for a business or whatever it is. And there's people out there who think that the Fed just controls rates. They don't. They control a very short end of the curve. So, you can see that even though the Fed has done nothing for a long period of time, bonds has gone down, and that means rates have been increasing. And during that little gap down, they were at a near record high over the last, I think, 15 years or something I read. And all of a sudden, we have this sharp turnaround. And this is what got me noticing these, because we know that rates are very, very important when it comes to the lending of businesses and all of that stuff, and very important for small caps, which we'll talk about in a second. But I wanted to see if maybe there was some people kind of caught offside by this quick reversal. So I came to the next chart here. And the next chart is something that I talk about periodically here. And I got the next chart here from bar chart right there. And the top is bonds, the chart I just showed you, but on a weekly basis. And then the bottom is the commitment of traders data. And this is where I kind of harp all the time of whether or not the positioning is long or short, whether people are buying or selling bonds. And they have been taking large short positions. These large speculators, the guys who are mostly trend followers and often quite wrong, when the boat gets a little bit too full in one direction, it might be time to kind of go to the other side of the boat and take that other direction. And I highlighted the last time we've seen people this short bonds, and that was October 2023. And you can see what happened to bonds. So as bonds spike, again, we got to remember, rates collapse, right? It's the complete polar opposite. Bonds go up, rates go down. And we're seeing kind of the same setup. We're at around the same area. You can see, the long level of support that we're at, and we've got a bunch of people short bonds. So if this surge continues, then there's going to be a lot of people caught off guard, maybe a short covering rally. We're not going to get like a 50% move in bonds or anything, but this will help rates come down a little bit. And who would that benefit if this is going to play out the way I think it might? Well, the next chart is XLF. So financials, right? When rates decrease pretty dramatically, they do great, because if you haven't noticed, your bank doesn't seem to lend you less when the rates come down. They just take more of a spread. Eventually, maybe they have to pull back rates, but when you put your money in your checking account, they still pay you next to nothing. So as that rate spread changes, it becomes easier for them. Lending increases, they get to lend more because more people are interested in borrowing money when rates are lower. So there's a lot of things that kind of back up the fact that finance usually does really good when rates pick up a bit. And just a nice little technical pattern here on the XLF where we have this kind of bull flag type thing happening. So if rates collapse even more, you can see what happened in the last 2 days in financials. They had a really good day with that kind of reversal we had in rates. Next one here is XBI or biotechs. This chart, you can see again, the last 2 days were really, really strong for biotechs. And it's because most of these companies don't have any money to make yet. They can't make anything. So what they do is they go to banks and they borrow money and they fund research and development in hopes to invent the new drug that helps with something. But in the meantime, they're very debt-heavy businesses. So as rates decrease, these guys are just worth more because they're paying out less from that standpoint. And I think this last chart illustrates this well, but it's going to take a second here. So just bear with me. The lower line, the blue line here, is rates, or is rates as the 10-year. You can look at this. It's TNX in TradingView, but you can see the lower blue area. This is rates, and then the top chart is actually the Qs over IWM. So the top chart you can basically think of, the black chart, is the NASDAQ doing great or is small caps doing great, right? Are mega caps outperforming or are small caps outperforming? And you can see when rates came down in kind of 2025, 2026, small caps held their own and they actually did well. If this chart is moving lower, that means small caps are outperforming large caps. And as rates came down, so did this, where small caps did better versus large caps. And then vice versa, when we had this rates kind of starting to climb so far since March of this year, you had small caps completely left in the dust and large caps really, really outperforming. So if, you see a long thought process here, if we continue to get a bounce in bonds and we get this kind of short covering rally in bonds, that brings rates down a little bit, and then maybe you get this relative outperformance in small caps. That is what I think we would need in order to see this rotation, in which we've only had these giant mega cap companies really, really performing recently, your Microns and SanDisks and NVIDIAs and all of that. If we're going to get this rotation and it's going to bring up the rest of the market and the rest of the market's going to try to catch up with us, well, we need to see these rates come down. And this is the first sign that I've seen that's happened, which for us as traders, you can just there's a TMF, there is a triple leverage bond fund if you want to get some juice there. But I think this is more of the potential catalyst to maybe we have a little bit of a come down in these hyperscalers, these giant companies that have been doing so well, and then we get a little bit of a come up in some of your small mom and pop companies. So if this is going to work the way I think it might, now seems like a good time to kind of make your list of maybe smaller companies that you like for whatever reason, technically or fundamentally, because if we're going to see it, I think we're going to see it in the next couple of weeks, and it'd be good to have that shopping list ready.
I have a couple questions here, and I just want to say thank you so much for getting so in-depth with that. I know the audience really appreciates it. I certainly do. One of my questions here involves, I guess, is there the possibility for stock selection within these larger sectors, right? Because you spoke about financials specifically with lending and then also these biotech names. Do you think it's, in your opinion, does it make more sense to just play these ETFs as mentioned, or are there any particular subsections of these sectors that could benefit more?
Yeah, absolutely. I think individual stock selection would make sense. If we're going to have rates coming down, the kind of thought process that I'm taking over the weekend is what are companies that are heavily reliant on debt, because those are the companies that are going to respond better. NVIDIA, for example, they don't really need debt. They got a whole bunch of cash. Same with Apple. So these guys aren't really worried about what interest rates are, because if interest rates are higher, it might actually be better for them because they have a whole lot of cash, so they'll make more money on that cash. Anything that uses a lot of debt, so generally you think of startup companies and new companies, maybe space, maybe even quantum is benefiting off this, would be an idea, because none of these companies make anything yet. They're financing the future of making things, and that requires debt. So if you're going down the list, it might just be, what's the company that has the most amount of debt? And that's the one maybe I should take a look at.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm also curious as well, and this might be a little bit too speculative, but in a situation where we continue to see these rates rise for a little bit longer, I guess does the trajectory kind of change things here if this, the higher for longer, for lack of a better term, happens? And B, if they do drop after a longer time rising, do you think that makes any of these moves in the IWMs, the XLFs, et cetera, a little bit more pronounced because we've waited so long?
Yeah, these companies, the small companies have been under pressure for a long time because of the higher rates. We went from 2021, 2022, where there was essentially zero rates, to now 4, 5, even 6% for a moment there. So if that happens, we could get this complete flippening in which, we haven't even broken our February high in the RSP, the average large cap stock. We haven't broken in mid caps. We haven't broken in small caps. The only ones that broke out to all-time highs recently has been your mega caps. And I think two things could happen. One is at some point you want to ring the register if you're a Micron shareholder, you want to sell at least some of it, take some of that profit and do something else with it. You just might be looking for the trigger, and the trigger might be this change in rates that causes me to, okay, now I'm going to take some money off the table in Micron, hopefully put it to use in some small cap names.
The complete flippening. I love that phrase, Michael. Where can people find you online, on social media, et cetera?
Yeah, as always, Substack is one of the main places, but just Michael Noss CMT on all social medias, and I'll happy to be seeing you there.
Sounds good. Thank you very much to Michael Noss, CMT, for being here with us this morning. Great discussion.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Happy Friday.
Fantastic stuff. As always, guys, go check out Michael Noss on some of the social media platforms. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with some downgrades. Deckard's Brands at the top of the list. You're down 2.4%, going from an outperform to a neutral weight here, guys, with a $117 price target. KGI Securities giving them that downgrade. Kyndryl, slightly positive this morning here. Double downgrade, guys, going from a positive to a neutral with a $13 price target. Now, Summit Therapeutics also on the downside of things to the tune of 8%, guys. Buy to a neutral. H.C. Wainwright giving them that downgrade. Now, Lululemon getting a price target reduction from $190 to $130, but with a neutral weight rating by Piper Sandler. Moving forward, let's take a look at the more positive side of things. Texas Instruments up 1.3% here, guys, going from a neutral to a buy, and a price target of $400 by Seaport. And then we have Bloom Energy Yes, Sharif, you heard it. Bloom Energy, one more time there for you, 3.3%, going from a hold to an outperform with a price target of $324. Now we have Alcoa up 1.4% here today, guys. Price target increased to $80, coming from $75, and going from a neutral to a buy rating. And then Zoom up here, guys, zooming its way to the tune of 7.13%, going from an underperform to a sector perform by KeyBank. Send it back to Neil and Sean.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, and thank you to Michael and Adara. Another informative little session on a Friday. I know it was on the red side, the downgrade side, Lululemon, but the last couple of days have been pretty positive for it. I've been mostly looking at Nike, which is effectively the same chart, but there's a little bit of a bottom happening in these two names. Maybe you like the Nike bottom a little bit better. Like the Nike bottom is actually consolidated, right? So it's held to 42. That's the only reason that I would say I prefer it, but basically same chart. Program buy on Wednesday, dip into strong upward trend yesterday, and today it's flat right now, but it was flat yesterday as well, and then you had to withstand the dip and then look for that curl. I think the same thing would apply until it proves something different. Then I like this for a bit of an uptrend, and it just sort of sometimes things get down enough, they find some, whether it's just find some buy support or just no one left to sell. They just, anybody that's still dug in is like, yeah, they're not selling anymore or give up on it. So I think Nike's kind of maybe reached one of those points at that $42 level, and maybe another leg up, likely with a dip first like it did yesterday, in tune for it. This over Lululemon, not really a big preference thing. One of those held a nice, very clean low, whereas Lulu, that's not as convincing that it's out of the downtrend. But both of those names incredibly strong the last couple of sessions.
All right, you might have seen me put in the chat there. We already talked about, someone said, that about the show earlier, and I was just like, the team that we have here is quite incredible. And I just want to say, like, Adara, the way that interview was absolutely fantastic. So again, a big shout out to Adara. I put it in the chat there. She's just so good. I just hope that she doesn't get poached away. So we want to say thank you to Adara for everything that she provides to the show. And yeah, thank you, Michael Noss, as well. I mean, this guy is on twice. Adara. Even the president agrees with me and all of you guys as well. And thank you, Michael Noss has been here for twice a week for years. So we got to say thank you to Michael for his dedication and everything that he brings to the team. So we obviously wouldn't be the same without everybody around here. But with that being said, let's go back over the desk and see what that next topic of conversation is. I was going to say we might have Joe, but he ran away there. So that has been a great addition again with the options. So I think there's lots to talk about every single day here on Trader TV Live. Make sure you join us at 8 a.m. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're not here Monday. It's a holiday. So happy Memorial Day to everybody. Hope you got those steaks ready to go. We got that barbecue ready to go. And should be a good weekend for sure. It's going to be really rainy around here, unfortunately.
So, it's not on Monday, I'm hoping.
Yeah. Monday should be good. We have a game. We have two games this weekend. Practice tonight. The practice tonight will be fine. Yeah, and we should be able to play on Sunday afternoon. Yeah, hopefully. So it'll be good. And then it's Fish and Chips Day today to celebrate Adara as well. So
did we decide where we're getting the
I don't know. It's not me. I won't be here to order them, but whoever's here can figure that out. I think.
Adara, is there a place where we're getting the fish and chips, or are we just winging it? I can look.
I believe it was discussed yesterday. We might go to this place called Freshco because it's my local fish and chips place and the last place where I ate fish and chips on December 19th, 2024. But yeah, so I mean, that'll be interesting if we do that. I think that also had the best reviews.
That works. I mean, it's hard to go wrong. It's hard to go wrong with fish and chips. Nice, simple dish. I'll 100,000,000% be having fish and chips when I'm in London this year because that's what you do. So looking forward to some good London fare. I chuckle about it because I think of when you go when I think of going to Europe, I'm always thinking about food, and London's the one place where it's it's not my first thought. When I'm in Italy, I'm like, okay, yeah, gotta get some good pasta. When you're in Paris, you're like, oh my goodness, the baguettes, the wine, like that kind of a thing. But with London, I don't get that same feel. Like you get good West Indian food, you get fish and chips, but I feel like that's like that normal stuff. But either way, we're gonna have a lot of fun with it, regardless, absolutely regardless. One thing that I hope you guys are gonna have fun with today is trading. And if you're a small cap trader, I'm gonna have to ask, oops, I don't want to go to Tiger. I'm gonna ask Sharif about this because I'm kind of curious, because if you're a small cap trader, everyone always talks about you want extra volume, you want a gap, you want movement. All of that applies to Tiger today. But because it's down 37%, does that mean that you don't trade it? I'd be curious to ask what does Luis think about that? Like it's 100% in play. It's a $3 stock. It's going to do probably, like, I don't know, 50 or 100 million shares or something ridiculous today. So is that in play? Sharif, I know you'll probably say no, but for small cap traders out there, is this on your radar? Or do you only worry about the ones that are gapped up? I think there's an opportunity out there for some people.
Yeah, I completely agree, Neil. It's just, the issue of locates, obviously, not having a manager's account. You never really are able to get the right entry with these being so quickly. But just having a look over here, it's obviously rejecting the volume weighted average price from the south side on the morning. I'd look for a hold of that level. There does seem to be some initial support at 3 1/3. Let's see how this one trades, down 33 1/3.
Yeah, we're going to discuss more here of these Chinese ADRs later. We're going to get into some Coinbase and crypto. One thing that you actually can trade, at least not Coinbase, but crypto, during the long weekend. USO, though, on watch. Hearing reports here from Al Hadath that they are going to be reappointing Galibaf, which is, of course, Iran parliamentary speaker, as the head of the Iranian negotiation delegation. There was some speculation over whether this would be the case, but I guess it is. So nothing massive, but just a heads up here. But yeah, IBIT here in focus. We know Coinbase with an announcement. I mean, how's crypto looking this morning, Sharif?
Perpetual style equity indexes possibly making their way onto Coinbase's exchange on June the 8th. They've already kind of launched a similar product overseas using their Bermuda regulated entity. So we'll see how, similar it is in the United States. But, instead of just launching regular S&P 500 tokenized, let's just say stocks on the blockchain, they're actually targeting very specific, very high volatility, retail-friendly names. So they're going to have the AI sector in there, Defense 10, they're calling it, China 10, the Tech 100. So you're not going to get your run-of-the-mill stocks. You're going to get very, very volatile, retail-friendly names. That's obviously strategically done by them. But the crypto kind of traders associated the word perpetual with never-ending, and that's actually not the case here. There is an expiration date for these tokenized equities. The first, I think, batch is set to expire on the 20th of December 2030, and traders and analysts kind of don't know exactly what the rolling mechanism will be for these. Like, so for example, if you had a futures contract, that there was a way to roll it into the next futures contract. If you had an options contract that expires, as a way to roll that as well. So traders don't know exactly the mechanics yet, so we'll wait to hear more from the exchange.
Yeah, waiting to hear from the exchange. In the meantime, though, how do you guys feel about Coinbase or some of these other crypto plays today?
The thing is, it's not like it's moving that much off of it. What's crazy is if it sucks, because this would be a great, fantastic opportunity with the story that's happening over there in China, except for, hey, they can't have access to all this. This exists to an extent. Like, you can get tokenized securities, you can trade them on Kraken. One of the ways that we're tracking the open price on the Cerebras IPO was to just look at what the tokens were trading at, and when that spread started to get tight, it was close to an open. Like, it's pretty useful stuff, and I think people are already exposed to this. It just doesn't seem as if Coinbase is doing much of anything off of that. There's some accumulation happening down here, but it was at 220 that needed to go. And it was just another fail break at that price. And until it gets through 220, it's kind of a wake me up situation for Coinbase. In regards to crypto in general today, we did have that trend break in IBIT on the daily here, more or less. I could draw that better, but it doesn't matter. And then a bit of a gap down. Since then, it's just been a week long of consolidation. I haven't really been trading IBIT outside of the beginning of the week, but I do look at MSTR up at that top. With the difference being, like, IBIT's slightly trending up on the week, and MSTR is like holding the low and making a little bit lower highs since Wednesday. So this one clearly relatively weak, and if there's any pop, then it's going to give you likely to give you a shot at that 169 high if the market stays strong like it has been. So I want to short a pop in MSTR rather than IBIT today. It just feels as if, you know, this one's giving you the better juice on the short side of the trade, and if Bitcoin's not doing much of anything, that only boisters that idea.
Yeah, for me, it's just there's just not enough going on with IBIT. You know, we did have a move down, but just this week, if anything, it's trending higher. I would be looking long, not shorts, in the space. And for me, it's like the breaking through here. We had a gap fill that needs to be filled still back up to the upside, and it was just rejected right here and came back in, bounced off the 200 period moving average. So I'm just a simple man making simple trades. I think this breakthrough right there, 44.20, you know, that gets it going. So I'm not going to do anything until we get to that level. And I'm not sure the market wants to move that much today. So a little exhaustion, possible day off of NVDA, off of all these chip names running. Could actually be a down day today, but I'm not sure. IBIT just 0.27. I'm just going to wait for it. Right now, it's definitely not, you know, too attractive to me at these levels, and I don't think we're going to get a move back down into here, but if the market does fall on itself, why not try to get IBIT down here? We had a great long on it 2 days ago. We double touched it right there. Was that yesterday? Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. It was our number one, maybe it was right here, 43.50. Yeah, it was right here. It was the number one trade for me a couple days ago off 43.50. But that's because, again, we had these levels right there that were showing up. So I'm not going to do anything now. I mean, even that 43.50 was broken sort of yesterday. We got as low as 43.40s. I guess it wasn't that much. So yeah, maybe that's a good buy zone then, 43.40. But see, now I'm talking myself into it. So I would rather wait to see what happens down here at 43 or wait for that top break. It's a pretty simple one for me. There's not too much excitement here. The Nasdaq's starting to go higher. IBIT's kind of just ho-humming this move. So I would just wait for a flush somewhere. And today, not on my radar is crypto. So 856, you know, lots of stuff going on. You know, we had that TIGR moving lower here. This another up fintech name from China. That's down 33% as regulators get a hold of that one. There's FUTU. I mean, this is all going to be on the rundown, so I'm not going to give the full story here. We're going to get that in a minute, but there's down 36%. These are some stories that we're going to be covering. And then if you just look at the FXI, I actually maybe should have added this one. Here, I'll put the sticky note up again for everybody in the chat, but I could have added this one to the note. I have Apple on there. I have Rigetti on there. There it is in the chat right here. But FXI may be a short as well. 35.40. If we start to bump up a little bit on some positive global macro situations, I could see FXI getting going, and I want to short it right now if it does come back in. The China talk wasn't great last week, as far as I know. So we'll wait. We'll wait for FXI, but that's going to be a play for me. I wrote down, actually, I lied. I have BABA written down here. As a short now. So, you know, I thought that we might have found a good level in between 129, we'll see. And that's actually, this could play right there, 129 to 129.50. So, you know, yesterday we came in, those are the levels right there. That's 128 up into 129. So we'll see if we do get a little bit of a bounce back. Obviously, when I wrote this note, you know, this is 8 o'clock. That's where the 200 period moving average is. So didn't do a good job trying to track that all the way down, but we'll have to watch out for Alibaba. I still really like the short on this name. It's now bumping up a little bit. If we get some rally in Alibaba, that will be a short for me. And quickly on the imbalance locator, just to see if there are any Chinese names on here. There's the quantum names again. QBTS is right there. Yes, let's go IBM. That's going to be a good one. Hopefully there's ServiceNow. And I actually don't see Chinese names. I thought we would have, because we have the AM. Like, there's no FXI on here. There's no BABA on here as a New York stock. So maybe the interest isn't as much as we thought. Oh, Corning. Oh, 195. Ugh. Missed that one at 170 as well. What is CG doing? Constellation. So my newest entry is IBM, obviously, but this one we had bought on some dips as well. Missed IREN. Should have got that, but got CG twice. Got it first at 300, not good. Whoops. Then actually got it like a 257 fill or something like that down here, maybe 258. And then it's bouncing back to the upside right there. That's just lucky. That's just because we came back on Tuesday. And I was like, wow, that got hit, and it was at a decent level for Constellation. So lucky to have bought that there. I'm trying to use 250 maybe as some sort of support. So this one hopefully gets back to the upside. IREN, though, with more juice in that energy trade. The juice is loose in the back there. It's 8:59 right now. We had a super chat about asking if weapons were legal here because Sharif's guns were blazing. There it is right there. There it is. Yeah, no, not allowed any weapons whatsoever other than the ones attached to your body around here. So back over to Sharif. Sharif, they're loving it.
Guys, right back, man. Let's look at some futures, baby. We closed out 742 3/4 yesterday on the SPY. We are well above that right now, as you can see. 746.5. We're up 0.5%, and we're looking at that 750 area immediately in the face here as our resistance level 1. In fact, that made all-time highs back, I believe, on the 14th. So let's look for 750. It feels like it could be a positive day. God, I hope this war ends. 740 area as supported era.
There you go. Lots to talk about, guys, today. And what better way to follow along than to grab our Trader TV Live watch list. But how do you grab it, you may ask? You just have to go to this code right here, type in that address, and subscribe. It is free, F-R-E-E, free. And again, we send it out every single day the markets are open around 8 a.m., so why not? Second name on the watch list today, or second story on the watch list today, involved these Chinese ADRs. Of course, the biggest ones here that were related to the story, FUTU and the aforementioned TIGR, but a lot of these other names moving lower in sympathy, Sharif.
Yeah, Chinese securities regulator, Adara, launched a broad crackdown on unauthorized cross-border investing. Specifically, they're targeting online brokerages like your Tiger, your Futus, Longbridge, I hadn't heard of that one, for allegedly soliciting businesses without the proper onshore licenses. That is triggering an aggressive and a sharp decline, signaling, that could be tighter enforcement on these capital outflows and overseeing trading activity. We know that the Chinese have been really trying to push their own domestic investors to invest domestically in their own markets. Don't want to see that money move abroad, Adara.
Yeah, I was reading as well that in terms of, from a fundamental standpoint, names like Alibaba and XPeng could be relatively unscathed here. But again, that's just one opinion. We're going to have to wait and see. In the meantime, none of these Chinese ADRs are really safe today, guys.
No, because you have to remember, if you're asking why, Baba or Pinduoduo or XPeng or Li Auto or Neo, if you're wondering why they're down, even though they're not directly related to this, obviously Tiger and Futu just got smacked because it's their business. The others are smacked down because it's a sentiment thing. Every time there's a reminder that this can happen to a particular industry on a moment's notice, it's just money likes to flow out. And so that's more or less the case today. The gap, this is not going to fill any kind of crazy gap, but if there's some breakouts here, I'd look for something, if it goes parabolic, to maybe revert it. And I don't want to be looking, it's down 37%, it's going to be SSR. I don't want to be looking for longs in Tiger or Futu. Not really. It's down so far, maybe it gets a bit of a bounce, but I'd rather see it do something like parabolic if it can find a top and then try to revert that. Yesterday caught a reversion on Neo, it was a dip, kind of held the lows in here and then broke back into VWAP. I'd rather look somewhere unrelated for bounce play. Right? Neo's gapping down here in sympathy to this. They reported, managed to hold the low. If this falls down into 5 or something and then holds a double bottom, then I'd rather go long. But I'd rather try that in something that A, it worked on yesterday, B, is not directly related to this story. Because, it's probably not going to be the first round of capital that tries to flow out of this as this matriculates through the markets today. That's just unfortunate. But this is, again, why a lot of these Chinese names do not trade on fundamentals, right? Because if Baba traded on fundamentals, it would probably be $300. It's not.
Look, I'm a large cap and a futures trader, so I won't be looking at those names. But I'll be looking at Alibaba. Alibaba is on the watch list there today. I just, off of those NVIDIA earnings, actually Jensen Huang came out and said that they've already given up the Chinese market to Huawei. So that's not going to be good, obviously, for Alibaba. But Alibaba's still, over there building up their own language models and their own AI and for their customers and their population, right? So I still think Alibaba does have a runway to get back up to the upside, but just not right now. You've broken back down through the 50-period moving average. Looks to be a little weaker right there. We'll see what happens around that 140 if we can break that and get back through and then maybe take out that 200 period. But until then, I do not, the 200 period is sitting at a really nice level. If it does break back above this 145, 150, then I think you can get back into 180, 200. I mean, these are nowhere near all-time highs. So Alibaba just not like the rest of them, although it should be. I think if this was an American company, this would be at the highs and probably have a 5 handle on it. But right now it doesn't, and 130 bucks, not great. I'm going to be shorting this name. See, this is like sort of the area that I'm looking for. If you sort of zoom in on the daily chart, right into here, like 129 to 130. Just looking to see if we can get that short. So I wrote it down here on the note. You can go find it. 57,000 of you are watching on Twitter, the followers there, so go have a look yourself. 129 to 129.50 is what we've written down here for Alibaba. So as far as Chinese names are concerned, this is the one that I'll be looking at there. Or FXI, like I said, I trade large caps and futures. So we'll have to wait to see what happens here with FXI today. Could be a short up to the 200 period if we get there. So we'll put this on our watch. We'll have a look at it. But so far, so good there for Chinese short names today off of a regulator misstep there with Futu and TIGR. So we'll give a look to the major names there. Also Pinduoduo. I mean, there's a couple good ones there too. JD that you can wind up trading. And then the EV names, as you mentioned, NEO and XPeng.
Lee looks, Lee 50
XPeng, Lee Auto, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch there. But getting ready for Memorial Day weekend around here. Could be a slow market. We'll see how it opens up. EL pops. I mean, when Estee Lauder is our second story, what that tells you about the market. Let's go find out about it.
Yeah, I fully understand that sentiment, Sean, and I agree. But in the meantime, though, EL, actually decent move here, and pretty interesting story. They're ending those merger discussions with Pooch that we know were announced recently.
Yeah, an aggressive buy-up yesterday after the report, guys, because it ends a multi-year profit bleeding cycle. It was driven by stricter profit plan. That's an internal plan by the company. Their operating margin expanded by basically 360 basis points, now up to 15%. And they also saw 76.4% gross margins. And typically we get an increase in gross margins when you have an increase in price. That was not the case this time around. The company crediting their 140 basis point in gross margin expansion due to what they are saying is a steep reduction in excess and obsolescence. Good efficiency management from the company as well. And for decades, guys, skincare was where EL made money. That is no longer the case. In fact, it grew at a very meager single digits. What's really picking up steam here is fragrances, and it's basically ubiquitous throughout the world. In whatever geographic region you are looking at, they grew double digits for their fragrances, so something to be on the lookout there. That's all well and good, right? But let's put this into context. Despite the massive 12% bump that we're seeing this morning, stock is still down, basically 26% year to date off the highs, and many different Lauder family trusts have been quietly exiting the position over the years. $760 million has been sold from these family trusts over the past 6 months, Adara.
And speaking of the Lauder family, Sharif, Jane Lauder, one of the heiresses, her husband is Fed Chair Kevin Warsh, who's going to be actually sworn in today. So kind of interesting timing on this. EL, guys, how do you feel about Estee Lauder?
Brought to you by our friends over at Gemini. Because if you know where Bitcoin's going to close at the end of the week, or you have a good idea who's going to win an upcoming election, possibly what the GDP print might be or other economic data, you don't have to argue about it. You can trade it. Gemini predictions have yes or no markets on crypto, commodities, politics, sports, and more. Now featuring 15-minute and 5-minute crypto markets so you can trade the action in real time. Set your amounts, see your odds, get paid when you're right. Open an account at Gemini.com or scan the QR code for more information. So for the EL, maybe not something that a lot of people are going to be trading, but if you happen to be in this, sort of remember what happened. A lot of times when you get some kind of a deal that's not going to happen again, just look for that oomph. And I mean, Netflix was an example where it went almost instantly about 25% into an obvious resistance spot when Netflix had this. Same story. And I think if we can come to my chart for a second, right? So there's Netflix. That was when, no Warner Brothers. Straight shot, basically into the 100 level. In the case of Estee, like you can look to see where the big key level is. It's right around here, like the 94, bottom, top, resistance at the 200 period moving average. So I think maybe a chance to get into that. It's traded 177,000 shares today. So unless you were like in this one off of some lows and looking for some kind of a target, I don't know that it's going to be a very big day trading name for them. But somewhat, it's not adjacent to it, but somewhat related, I guess, in a certain sense. On the way back in after Netflix got that the boost from not doing the Warner Brothers deal, it's kind of weird to look at it that way. But if you're being real about it, like Netflix was getting punked because of the deal. The second they weren't doing the deal, they got that bit of a bounce. It's trying to make a nice higher low here at 85. 80 was the breakout price, but you're starting to see a bit of a rounded bottom form. Like you're putting in some higher lows, like wipeout bottom here, higher low, and then we're putting in another higher low this week. Netflix is finally showing signs that it's found its not its way, but found its bottom, or at least a bit of a local bottom. So 2 days ago, I was bearish on this. I probably want to be bullish over the 91 level. I think that's a next week kind of deal, like looking for the 91 break on Netflix now that 85 has held. But S-Day, and maybe you get that 200 period moving average. I think that looks like a pretty solid target on this news.
To another beauty name here with ELF. ELF reported they hit the 52-week low. They made a brand new 52-week low at 49.72. Looks like around $50. You're now getting a nice little bump up of 6% off of those lows, up to $53 and change. So ELF Beauty today, although not up 6% today, I actually like that possibility of today's a day 3 play. So ELF could today see a little bit of a bump higher here, up 0.66. So similar to what that market's doing, you can see it looks like it wanted to make a bottom here. And maybe we have found it at $53. So I don't really, a lot of their products are manufactured there in China. So something to think about there, if we do get any sort of problems with tariffs or anything like that, that continue to sort of be pushed to the back burner right now as this war and oil has sort of taken the forefront. But, this has a great opportunity to get back. I mean, it was just at 145 at the beginning. Well, that's in November. But at the beginning of the year, we had a play up to 80, 90, $100, looks like, was the top there. And now you're cutting half. So I think ELF does, deserve a little piece of your portfolio if you have some risk capabilities here and you just want to, fly into something. This is a decent area. And then you have your out that's already been established at $49. So I think ELF is a good name in the beauty space. Estee Lauder, obviously the stories are there. Nice move up 10%. We'll see if it can wind up holding that one as, again, back and forth with the CEO there. And Estee Lauder. So we'll keep on watching ELF. We'll watch Ulta Beauty is another name that I think can go. Ulta Beauty, again, the retail side of things. I'm worried about retail. I mean, we did sell some Target the other day, and you could see where Ulta's been going as well to the downside. But when we went to the Mall of America, man, I mean, Ulta was bumping, and it was definitely something that my family was getting into. So ELF, Ulta, definitely at some levels where you could start buying something up right there. All right. Yeah, we sort of heard that already. So we'll see if the Iranian war is coming, at least maybe not to an end, but maybe we can have some sort of agreement to open up the strait, and then that will help us with oil prices. Let's go back over to the desk.
Yeah, if you look at quantum this morning, it certainly doesn't seem like that trade is coming to an end. We know yesterday, 9 quantum companies getting a total investment of $2 billion spread amongst them from the U.S. government. One of them, of course, was IBM. NVDA as well today with its own quantum catalyst. So there's lots to talk about in this space, Sharif.
Absolutely, but we should probably put everything into context, guys. A lot of these have very high short floats, which probably is contributing to the parabolic nature of the price action right now. 15.5% of Rigetti's float is shorted. About 14.5% of D-Wave's total available equity floats were also sold short, and that was heading into the announcement. My assumption is, of course, some people have been short squeezed and they've have to cover their position, so those numbers may not be immediately accurate. Secondly, the government made a big whole thing about this. A lot of the money, though, is coming from the prior administration's CHIP Act, that $2 billion and change. So that needs to be put in context, as well as SEC adjacent filings did reveal that some of these private, and especially the smaller cap firms, actually issue some of their own shares of common stock to the government in order to get this money. So that's kind of positive and negative. A lot of people like, when the government's invested in a name because it doesn't backstop it in the way that, share buybacks do. But as we see, if a government's taking a position in a company, other companies are more inclined to do business with them, whether that be from pressure from the administration or just better optics. So let's see how these trade.
And there's a couple other things in the quantum space that I think are worth noting here. NVIDIA's N Ventures, which is their venture arm, invested in a French quantum computing startup that was announced today. So, of course, interesting timing with the quantum pop yesterday. There's also this QTEX company. Now, people were saying there wasn't any news on this today, but a couple days ago, they announced that they were switching over to calling themselves QTrex Quantum and becoming a quantum company. So a couple different other ways to play this than the standard, IBMs, Rickettis, et cetera. How do you guys feel about quantum as a whole?
Well, maybe not that name. I was going to say continuation, but I don't know about the company that just decides to put quantum in their name the day after. Maybe leave that one alone. Who knows? You know what? Maybe it gets some kind of crazy squeeze. We've seen more ridiculous things. Like Allbirds had a really good day when they decided they were going to be AI infrastructure instead of selling shoes. It just didn't go too well for you if you bought on that. If you bought the highs, it went really poorly for you if you bought those highs. I haven't checked back on it. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to look QBTS again. And I'll also look dip again, although we're not getting much of a dip. Just a little note. USO managed to hold yesterday's low now twice, once in the pre-market and then again here. So we're getting a bit of a hold of this 140 level. That breaks down and we lose it. That's going to be great for the overall market. But for QBTS, it's the 24.75 area. Like that's the dip level that I like when I sat down. You're breaking out through the highs, so I don't want to move that notion of the level that I like, but have to look for a little something else as well. It was a clean trend break, but this trend break literally happened on the opening print. So like at 9:30, it broke the trend and never looked back. So the first, either it's 24.75 QBTS or just a downtrend break on a dip buy. I don't want to be chasing highs on day two, but I do want to be buying some dips.
All right, this is day two for Rigetti. I mean, yesterday we had Rigetti marked down right here at 18 to 18.50. It hit, so we didn't take it. Today we're going to try to do something a little different. I've actually just put it down to 22 bucks right now. It's a nice move higher. I wrote down 21.50. Maybe I should just adjust that on the note for everybody. $22 is what we're looking for. Thanks for paying attention to the note, and thanks for paying attention to what we have to say here. I hope it can hit. I mean, there's 22 right there. Yes. Yesterday's close. So I was going to go with this high. I mean, when we write the note down this morning, it's at 8 o'clock and it's at 22.50. So I just thought, potentially we could come back in and we don't worry about 22. We were looking for a little bit lower because, this is what it looked like yesterday off the open. We started to fade all the way until the open hit and then the buyers came in. Right now the buyers are in real early here today as we pop up 6% on RGTI. So I'm still going to be here. Shout out to my good friend Nelson as well watching, and shout out to everybody who's got some of this play. For myself, I've just very conservative as an investor. So I picked IBM yesterday. The fact that it has a 4 or 5% dividend, the fact that it's up 3 and a bit percentage points today, was up 16 or 12 maybe yesterday, and looks like it wants to continue to break higher. So I targeting IBM up in this 3 to 315 area. That would be sort of the Katina Wilson Capital price target, 310. So we're gonna hold out to that and see if we get an appreciation on IBM. Play it, hold it. We got the dividend in. We've already got a nice piece of this pie. Unless some reason, it comes out that maybe that story was not the truth, or I don't know, maybe there's not enough money around, but there seems to be lots of money around. So I like IBM here. I like Rigetti for a day trade. I like them all. I mean, this is what happens. We saw Intel get investments. We saw that spike. Let's see what happens here with quantum. Quantum is a thing. It eventually will crack. I think probably, I don't know if it's going to be the downfall of Bitcoin, but there's going to be some sort of a play there. I'm a little nervous about that, but I like IBM. I've liked it for a very, very long time. And I first bought it years and years ago because of that dividend. It was like one of the only tech names that had a decent dividend and still really is. So we'll have to wait to see here. That's popping. We just hearing that AMD is also popping right now. I mean, this NASDAQ may not be able to be stopped. Up another 3% here right now. ARM, Marvell, NVIDIA. I mean, took some money out yesterday of ARM and looking to put it back into NVIDIA today. So hopefully that will come back in. All right, another two big monster names that we won't trade today, but we could definitely talk about it. Workday and ZM, Zoom. We'll go find out what's going on with them.
Yeah, of course, quite a few earnings today. I know some people in our chat mentioned it, so I'll briefly mention Webull here for you guys as well, because they did also report not doing too much. It was quite literally, I think, exactly flat this morning when I was doing the watch list, but revenue growth year over year, EPS decline on a year over year basis. But let's talk about Workday, because I think this one certainly worked, pardon the pun, if you were long into it. Pretty solid report here for WDAY.
Yeah, beat on the top and bottom line, 266 EPS versus the 251 expected, with revenue coming in at 2.54 ahead of the expectations of 2.52. Good look there, and their margins grew by 0.5% year over year. Who can complain about that? But the more important context was, let's cut the crap here. Workday has been heavily punished, down 43%. Year to date prior to earnings as a result of course, the software Armageddon that we've been talking about. Management pushed back aggressively on the call, basically saying, look, our AI agent adoptions more than doubled sequentially to 4,000 customers, and now they're bringing in about $500 million a year just from those AI agents alone. So they're trying to make the case they're not going to get disrupted. The market has had other thoughts as of late.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see if Workday ends up working today. Are you guys looking at this name? I mean, if not intraday, are there any sympathy plays or long-term ways to look at this?
Well, there's a long-term way to look at it, and that would be, yeah, I know it's getting beaten up on the year, but wasn't it already weak before that? Yes. Like it double topped, that high's 2024, and then of course, I mean, everything topped out in that 2021 pullback, but so you get a pass for falling down in 2021. But you don't really get the pass for falling down in 2024. I guess the appealing thing would be they came into this with a forward PE of 11. So on a beat, that means that it's relatively cheap, that kind of a thing. But look at the monthly chart. Like this monthly chart, maybe gives you a maybe consolidation at a support level of 120. That's what it gives you. But in a horrific downward trend, which already existed. All of that being said, there is accumulation happening down here at 110 bucks. So if it can hold on to the 50-period moving average, it's probably not that bad of a post-earnings look. But it's a ghastly monthly chart when you look at it. So I'm not really much for bottom picking, and the volume's really low on it anyways. But even if the volume wasn't all that low, there's a lot of day two plays, like more appealing day two plays. And I know technically speaking, like, some of the chip names aren't really day two because it's NVIDIA's day two, but they kind of count as well. Like, so that and between that and quantum, Workday is going to be a bit of a pass. But there is accumulation down here happening if you're looking for something that you just want to get off the lows and maybe participate in this rally that hasn't. Just give it a couple of days.
All right, yeah, for Workday, I always think, looking over at something like a CRM, this name's got to get going. It's had a really good level down here around 160. So breaking through the 50-period moving average would be something there, potentially some interest in Salesforce. I actually still think it's a short until we break above this $200 mark. So even though it's only at 180 right now, if this market somehow does turn around and Anthropic's coming to market, OpenAI. There's a lot of shots going to be fired probably at Salesforce. And when we start to see, some of those numbers open up and just how much cash is lying around there and what some of these investments have been into Anthropic and whatnot, are these companies going to sit around and turn and pay a Salesforce, and be able to charge more and more every single year? Can't even increase prices anymore. Are people still going to be using that software? These are things that are in question. So, Workday, a nice move, nice name. I just think Salesforce right into here. It's had a real big problem. This is since March. We've already talked about where the market is. The market's at all-time highs, and this name has been absolutely, decimated. So I'm still thinking short. If we can get something around 190, then that's a short for me. That's only $10 away. So CRM remains a short. Let's zoom over to the back and figure out what our next story is.
Well, we're going to be zooming into those Zoom earnings, Sean, to just kind of continue the pun there. ZM, a name that now I think lately has been associated with it, at least in part with its Anthropic investment that had started accruing here in I believe, March of 2023. They had earnings here, Sharif.
They do. They beat on EPS and revenue, guys, but the guide had some, some good, some bad. A slight miss here on the guide for EPS, but better on revenue. The real narrative, though, is the AI monetization. Zoom is saying that paid users of their AI companion, that's their AI tool, actually grew pretty nicely, almost 200%, 184% year over year. And their MyNote as well hit 1.5 million licensed users, and the AI and agentic revenue, much like we were talking about Workday, actually is becoming a real growth layer rather than just a pure concept story. Let's see how they do. A lot more it can go up based upon where this one was trading in the pandemic.
Yeah, I just want to mention here, too, I'm seeing some of these healthcare plays not really moving too much, but the Commerce Ministry of China announcing that they met with some foreign pharmaceutical firms, specifically Eli Lilly, Sanofi, Novartis, and Merck. So keep an eye potentially on these pharma names. Now, as I mentioned here, Zoom has kind of turned into an Anthropic sympathy play, at least in part. If you get Anthropic news, you get a move in Zoom. In the meantime, are you guys zooming in or zooming out of that Zoom chart today?
Well, you should always, if you plan to trade it, I suggest you always zoom out. I just think it's always a smart thing to do. Get an idea of where the stock has been, to get an idea of where it can go. The volume, this is actually lower volume than Workday, believe it or not. It's on 140,000 shares in the pre-market, so that's pretty darn low. The spread, actually not that bad. It's only 85 cents, 75 cents right now. So it's actually better than it was 15 minutes ago on Zoom. So it's not the biggest day trading stock in the world, but it does give you, for anyone that's interested, the last 2 weeks, when you zoom out, 103, 109, 96, 97. It's got some very clear accumulation zones and is attempting to fill the gap. So, I mean, that looks like a support level at 103. It looks like a top at 109. But I juxtapose that to something like Rocket Lab today, which they had an offering yesterday and held the line at 124 like an absolute champion. It's up 5% today. It's in a space that's a little more exciting. It's doing some pretty decent relative volume in the pre-market. So I like to dip by on Rocket Labs. Can forget about the 124 because that's no longer happening. But the resistance here, 128 to 130, that gives you a bit of a dip zone for a stock that's in a hot space. And again, if you have an offering and the low of the day gets made on that offering, I'm always a fan. So I want to stick to that one, Rocket Lab, maybe over Zoom. And we got rest on day 7. Shout out to you, Adara on fire. Sorry if I spelled your name wrong. You got it right.
Yep, thank you so much also for the super chat.
Yeah, great one there. I feel like I'm throwing compliments at Adara every single day. I mean, it's well deserved. So thank you for everybody in the chat to notice that as well, obviously. Okay, so the imbalances just came out here. It's 9:26. Yeah, there's really not many huge names. I mean, there's NVIDIA. I mean, the names are here, but the size. I mean, 340 for NVIDIA, nice pop there. I guess we're not getting, unless somehow we weren't at 219.50. We're lower at 219. So I don't even know if that wick happened, but there it goes, man. I mean, we might have to add NVIDIA to the list today. It seems like it still wants to go higher. Did well on NVIDIA yesterday, did bad on Microsoft. So we can watch out for that one as Microsoft continue to fall down. Actually, Microsoft's a name I want to buy too. I might have to look at that if that goes down. Rigetti, I just saw it on there. Where is it? There's IBIT as a sell. We talked about IBIT getting sort of caught in the middle here. We'll see what happens with that name. There's Rigetti. So, whoa, okay. Nice dip down. I'm bidding 20. The only bid I have right now is 22 and change. So we'll have to wait to see if this comes back into this level, 22.15 there for Rigetti. Nice move down there from 23.60 into 23. We'll see if that can wind up holding it. The other name there, QBTS, a New York name. So it's been on this imbalance for a minute. That's also dropping down a little bit here. Nothing too much. Futu's already done 11 million shares, but there's the move. Maybe if I zoom in a little bit, you can see them better. There's the move down on Futu. Wow, that's a good one, man. $86 all the way back to 81 on a small imbalance. That might be a buy. This could be a buy right there. I don't want to buy the name, but just on that seems like too big of a move for this kind of an imbalance. Other than that, QS is not QuantumScape. I was going to say QuantumScape. I was like, that makes too much sense. So that's on there, but no real volume going on there. Oh, SMR, is that, I was going to say, is that still sub 10? They must have a decent day yesterday, I guess, yeah. So they went from 10 up to 11 yesterday, up 10%. That was a good move there. We'll see if that sell continues. I was saying that I thought today seemed a little light. And maybe, okay, one more. There's AMD. What's that doing? Oh, yeah. The whole chip space seems to be taking off just a little bit right there. Oh, you know what we could do? So ARM breaking 300 could be a trade. Marvell breaking 200 could be on watch as well. So, yeah, okay, well, yesterday we got out of ARM 20% out there at 297. Now it's down a little bit, but I still think that 300 is going to be in play at some point. So obviously at some point, but we'll see what ARM's doing. We put that 3% in our pocket today and wait to see what winds up happening tomorrow. But I like ARM still at these levels. So it looks like there's going to be a good bunch of movement here right off the open with NVIDIA ticking higher, some of these chip names ticking higher. There's Palantir ticking lower right now. So that's going to be on people's radars as well. Yeah, so Apple, let's actually... Good point. Let's go over quickly what I'm looking at. There's Rigetti long, Apple long, right? So we'll see if that's going. Alibaba short, TQQ's long on dips. So that's what I'm targeting right there. Two longs, two longs in the equity space, one short there with Baba, and then a long on the futures. But that's going to be a minute. The TQQs, I wrote down 76 and change, 76.75. So that's still got to go down $1. That's not going to be happening. But again, you never know. And there's where we sort of closed yesterday at that price. So that's what we're looking at. All right, 1 minute to go. Here we go. Should be good. AMD all-time highs.
Yeah, the only name that I didn't mention on the list that now I'm looking at it for sure is SMR. Like this chart is basically the same at the open that the quantum names were doing yesterday. And you got to believe that's just like a sympathy thing, that they're both shorted and they just have profiles that seem the same in different spaces. Not the first time it's happened, but it's a quantum story. And if we're up yesterday, just because things were squeezing is why SMR is up. I'm going to look for, first of all, 15 seconds left. Do we even have locates on this? We don't always. We do. Okay, so SMR is pretty short. If there's any fail of the pre-market high or like a VWAP short, I'd look for continuation there. Got MSTR in the mind. Rocket Labs, of course. We ring the bell for the last time this week. And there it is. Market now open. First move downside for NVIDIA. That's not going to bode the best for the market. And this is what happens when you flip stocks late. Yeah, immediately right back in. Remember, NVIDIA held at 218, but it took a while to get there. Initially, this was ramping to the upside in the afternoon, and Rocket Labs is gone. I guess that doesn't
surprise anybody.
Yeah, that doesn't want to dip at all. No chance of VWAP. 134.5. Now 6.5% for RKLB. You're still seeing the quantum names pull back a little bit. They were buy imbalances, but just because it's a buy imbalance doesn't mean it's going to rocket off of the open. So actually, it's still slightly weak here. Over in QBTS, underneath VWAP, but trying to get going. NASDAQ not doing much. USO is recovered from the bottom. And that could maybe slow things up a bit. But that 140, double bottom this morning, double or low from yesterday as well. We break that, I mean, that's just more juice for the market if USO can take that 140 down.
Right. Man. I mean, we wrote down, like, what's going to be stopping Apple? And apparently the answer is nothing right now. The market just ticks higher there. There goes Apple breaking through. We wanted 304. No way, man. It goes up $2 instead of down $2. I'm not going to short this thing. I think if anything, we'll just have to be patient with Apple. And when we miss a trade like this, no, we didn't miss it. When it just goes, a little extension through where we thought, what I wait for now is we had it right. It wants to go, so that's right. So we check that mark off. And then we wait now to see where the entry is going to be. So what about just saying, hey, just like Rigetti yesterday, it took off and then it did make moves back in and give you an opportunity to get long. Now, it didn't happen until a little later, but there goes Apple right to the upside, man. Dan Ives loves this name. I love this name. We all love this name. Whoa. Get on board with Apple, man, the best consumer product company of all time, Apple. And there it is, all-time highs for Apple. And just continues to go. If I keep saying Apple, maybe it will come back down. But I'm going to look for that
orange
here.
And maybe
maybe orange, maybe red. Red apple, green apple. I prefer the red apples. All right, so coming back into 307 would maybe be a look there. But I think VWAP at 306 and change is where we're going to sit for now on AAPL. 306 and change in case there's some sort of a dump in. Bye quantum names. There it goes. There goes Rigetti. 9% again for RGTI. Just going, gone. This time we don't have to say boo-hoo because we were not waiting at the 200 period, although yesterday we should have been, today we should have been. I wonder what I'm going to do Tuesday on Rigetti, but yeah, we waited for 22 bucks. That didn't come in. Still looking for a pullback over there on RGTI, but yeah, Apple right now, the only name that I think we could get into, and then maybe Alibaba.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the only thing I might get into is MSTR because the market's going up. AMD, 480. Check that, 481 and a half is AMD just flying to the upside. NVIDIA going in the absolute other direction.
Oh, good.
So that's heading down into that 218 support level for AMD. Intel. That's weird. All right, well, Intel's doing neither of those things. It's not up, it's not down. A little bit surprised by that. You already just saw Rigetti, so you know QBTS is doing basically the same thing. Thanks, Randy, for the Joe.
He's the man, the myth, the legend.
No need to have that dip buy in there.
Yes, sir.
As we have our
Randy's the best, man. I put it in the chat, and he's literally like 5 minutes later, so thank you there, Randy. Any plans this weekend? Are you working Monday? I know it's a long weekend. Oh, it's work from home. That must be nice. Oh, a dentist. Oh, yeah. Neil hates. I actually don't mind the dentist. You're less of a fan of the dentist. No, I don't. As you get older, it's like, I don't want to go to the dentist anymore.
It's a time out of my day. Like, it just, you already don't have enough time in the day, and then, all of a sudden you got to sit in a chair and watch Netflix or whatever.
There goes, yeah. It's always,
at least they got that.
See, Randy, it always has The Office on my place, so I don't mind it. But
which is cool. When you were kids,
there's BBAI just quickly, and then we'll go over to Rand. We'll go over to Dara. But BBAI just on a little bit of a move up as you guys talking about it. Alibaba, I said this could be one of our first shorts, and here comes in Alibaba. We should probably look at this one. What's up, Dara?
I just want to talk here about MU. Now, this is nothing super massive. It came out right at the bell, though, so I thought I'd address this. Micron announcing they've started their 1A DRAM production at the Virginia facility, which is, we've been hearing about the Virginia facility for a little bit. Just wanted to mention this story. I also want to do some housekeeping. No economic data at 9:45, but at 10 a.m., you get comments from Feds Waller, and you also get the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print.
Yeah, you Michigan, yeah. So we're going to be in one position right now. Alibaba does hit our levels of 129 to 129.50. So I'm going to try to give this one maybe to 130 just to see. I mean, it's an early take here. We don't necessarily need to be stressed out about this play right now. It's still early. We'll short a little bit more at 129.30, which is that top. I mean, it's 129.45, so we basically nailed the top there. But we weren't sitting. As I said, I thought maybe Alibaba. All right, let's take a little bit more here then. I thought maybe Alibaba would be one of the first trades to come in just because of the move that we just saw in the market. So I was not sitting there. We should have been 129.50 is what we're talking about. Well, like I said, we'll wait to get a little bit more. We now have one unit in and around this 129 area. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now, just shorting a little bit of Alibaba, a name that I like with all this Chinese sort of back and forth. But hey, maybe they got hit and they didn't need to, right? This is a Futu story and a different shipping and all this regulation and all this kind of stuff. So maybe Alibaba is getting taken out with the bathwater here, but I'm going to try it until it breaks. There's that Futu breaking off 80. I said that remember when I saw that imbalance, I was like, that's probably too far for that kind of an imbalance. Well, yeah, $6 right back there to the upside. All right, Alibaba, man, we've pretty much got a comfortable position now. We'll wait to see if we can add into it at 129.50, and then we'll give this to 130. If it breaks 130, we can get out of this one if the market continues to climb higher. So Alibaba first position in right now.
Yeah, I said the first one might be a short just because of what happened to the market, and nothing's dipping. But Rocket Lab is doing a little bit of a dip. But I'm just going to play MSTR. I'll show you Bitcoin first because Bitcoin is actually headed in the other direction from the markets. Bitcoin IBIT just made a fresh low. That's Bitcoin. It's at 77.2. If you're curious what the actual price is, as long as you're underneath that 78, going to remain bearish on the overall space. So into MSTR. Ooh. I think that 165 is too big of a level to completely ignore. And RKLB, at least when I last looked at it, was pulling back in here. So huge move up in Rocket Labs. Obviously, you guys can see the chart. Pulling back to VWAP, which doesn't matter as much this early in the day. There is the 131 where the breakout started, which gives you a bit of a key level. And QBTS and the quantum names, I mean, this is holding at $28, at least for now, so it's slowing down. If it gives a shot at a VWAP retrace, that's the first place I'd look. There was no clean VWAP retracement till 10:30, and even then, it was one little tiny wick for a couple of seconds. and it was shot right back up. So you got to be Johnny on the spot if these suckers dip, because the quantum names are just going absolutely buck wild, ape, whatever you want to call it. There's no stopping them. 9% to the upside. I haven't looked at IBM, but I'm going to make the assumption. If this is up 9, I'll say 3.5.
Yeah, let's hope for more.
Well, I mean, it's because it's a bigger cap. There you go, 3. Like you can't expect IBM to go up as much as QBTC or whatever, QBT.
Yeah, definitely.
And D-Wave or Geddes, that's what I mean. It's just not going to happen, but it's a safer name. It'll be a lot less painful on the way down. That's why.
Yep, good call on that one. We do like some IBM and some Rigetti. We like all those names today. Okay, so just waiting. Like I said, we'll wait to see if 130 comes into play. I mean, Alibaba's hovering around these levels, so we got a good price. Well, not a great price, but I said in between 129 to 129.50. So if we're going to sit here and roll, we might as well watch for $1 here on 129.25. So that's what we're doing now on that one. I mean, this TIGR is part of the story today.
Wow.
Obviously, as we get going, this is starting to make a move back there to the upside. So this is securities, crackdown, unauthorized cross-border securities, futures, and fund services. So the regulators got their claws out for TIGR and FUTU today. And this is, I thought, going to have more of a negative effect on the Chinese space than it's having, because Alibaba says, nah, this isn't affecting us at all, and anybody that shorted us was foolish. So right now, that's making me look like that, and we're going to wait to see here. Last take, just a little bit. I wanted to get something near 130, so we have 2 units, and we'll just wait to see what winds up happening on this one. We can take a $1 hit if that's what winds up happening. 130.30s, we're going to stop out of Alibaba on, and it looks like it is going higher there. So this could be a fail on the first go today for sure. We do want to play pullbacks in Apple. I guess we kind of got one there. I was bidding, well, yeah, it's no good anymore. I was being down here at 206.50. That's not going to play for now, but that's something that we're going to look at there for Apple, and just let this market breathe a little bit. I mean, the market is huge now, upside. We started up 0.2. You know, when we first started the show, and now you're almost up 1%. So the market is telling us that this is potentially going to be another long day as we head into the weekend. All right, so Alibaba pulling back just a little bit. We're going to put some bids out around 129 flat just to see if we can get something there, take a little pressure off this trade in case we're wrong. But right now it's Alibaba short doing position that I have, and Neil's got the MSTR. That's it.
Oh, and
that's nice.
Army Kalen, yes, I'm still waiting for the teens in Walmart. I know we didn't talk, we mentioned a lot of day 2 names for earnings, and Walmart, I guess, wasn't cool enough to get into the list. But at some point we can go into that chart. What's weird to me is the market is absolutely screaming, AMD is absolutely screaming, and Intel is not participating yet. So I don't know what's going to go on with that one, but I like the support. I mean, obviously 114 is a level, and then 116.5 was going to be one too. If it does dip, but it doesn't look like it wants to dip. But MSTR just shot upside. So we give it to this level in here. Can't hold it past the 165. That's just too far. I think there's a lot of, I don't think there's some weakness, but the next level up is 169. Like if I think the next spot is $4 higher, then I got to wait for it or get back underneath that volume weighted average price. I saw IBIT, and it was still, when we're getting in, it's still cresting underneath the lows. We're still underneath VWAP here on IBIT, so I don't mind taking another shot if I see this hold underneath, but you got to have a stop order for sure. Intel, I want to be long on Intel. It was on my list for a dip buy, but how much do you like a dip buy? The market just broke out heavy, and this sucker is not even going with it. I feel like if the market falls and then that's when you're catching the bid, it's going to require a little bit more patience. But 2 days in a row now, these quantum names. Yeah. Well, you know what? It was different yesterday because it spent all morning dipping in. Like it fell $2 into a level and then broke out. In this particular case, it didn't even give you a dip. So I said I would set my sights on a sympathy play that doesn't make sense to me, the SMR. And when that slows down, try to take a shot at that one to the short side. We have free locates. I'm assuming most people probably do. But that just did a pullback without the quantum going. So this is just, to me, a strict sympathy play. I'm going to take a shot here instead of, like, I'm not standing in front of QBTS or Rigetti at any point.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Yes. We get a 129.05er right there, and yay, man. I mean, I was doubting this position a little bit. Were you guys? There it comes back in now for Alibaba. So, you know, we want to get a little lower than where we are now. So we'll see if one, I mean, I always say this, that I'm always like looking at these stocks as if they actually want to tank hard, and we got a good play on here. So I'm gonna take another piece out. So I'm out of 20% now at 129-ish. We got 129.05s there. And I just punched again at 129.07. So good levels there to the downside. Let's see if we can continue to make it rain on this side as far as Alibaba is concerned. Who knows though, lots to still go. Here it comes, nice move downside there for Alibaba, just coming into the 80s now. Let's put another bid out and go see what Adair's up to.
You guys may remember the market did spike higher in the pre-market on reports that the Pakistani army chief was on his way to Tehran. Now we have CBS reporting that, according to the Pakistan Foreign Ministry, they're not aware of any trip to visit Iran that was planned by the army chief. So sounds like this is not necessarily accurate. Again, according to the Pakistan Ministry, sounds like, contrary to previous reports, Pakistani army chief not planning on visiting Iran at any time that has been planned as of yet. There is a push lower here in the NASDAQ and USO pushing higher. We're also getting comments from U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying, quote, there has been some progress with Iran, but I would not exaggerate it. We're not there yet. Back to you.
I guess that's the nacho part of things here that we're seeing. Once again, it's just this back and forth, but SMR, it got to almost VWAP, so only have half of it out there as it slammed back in. There's your topping tail, there's your pullback. Once it already makes the break this close, and by the way, holding higher lows, this is still an upward trend, and you're holding the afternoon high. So I'm tightening up the stop to the bodies, not the wick, which will be just above the 70 level. You have to respect, if you're against the grain, and normally the way I would look at it is, that's a breakout trade. So it goes into first resistance, fine. Second resistance would be 12.24. I'd still take it at that price if I could. But if we hold on to that prior high, you got to make sure you're taking some out, tightening stops. If we get all the way back into the low, that's the target. That'll be like $11 there in SMR. And as that pulls back, you are getting a pullback in quantum as well. So QBTS, I'm going to assume we're getting, maybe some of the others are starting to slow down. That's a heavy retracement. It didn't do anything this crazy this early to the downside, so let's see if it swoops down into the volume-weighted average price and maybe pick us up. That's still almost $1 away. Like it's as much as it's pulled back, it's still like $1 from VWAP.
Yeah, we're still gonna wait and be patient. It's only 9:45 right now. We did get a nice move down in Alibaba. We did capture some of it. We told you about 20%. Then it broke lower, and we were able to get some more out. So if we're able to reload it, we'll try it again there at 80 if it does come back up. But this is not the greatest look anymore. I really thought that this move down would have continued. It does not. The future's kind of just hovering around now, trying to pop through again. So yeah, this is this trade, I think, smelling danger right now on this Alibaba. It's not acting the way, unfortunately, I thought it would. So let's be careful with it as there it goes, breaking through potentially 130. The high of the day is here. So there we go, man. Going to get stopped out 20 cents from here, and then we'll just let it go and be like, okay, well, at least we took some profit there. Didn't think this was going to happen, but looks like now FXI, the Chinese name, starting to get a wow. Okay, yeah, all right. So this was obviously not an Alibaba story by itself. You do have everything starting to pop through here, including the FXI. So nice move there, down 1.38%. Alibaba did just fade off that 130, but we're going to wait for it. ARM, we said that could go for $3 and looks like it's trying to do that right now. There it is, 298. Looks like we can break through there on some good. I mean, that was a great dip buy if you got it at 289. We'll see if ARM wants to extend through that 300 mark right now. That would be I think that's a great buy through. You got a lot of momentum there. Marvell also, that was looking at 200. That's pulled back, so we have to wait to see if Marvell wants to do anything. Still up that 2%. We're still pretty happy with that.
It's Friday, so big round numbers would be.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. And then Apple. So I'm just trying to stick with the game plan here. Apple's now pulling back. Unfortunately, I was looking over there at Alibaba. Should have been looking potentially at Apple, as this name has some moves to make back in. Still looking at 306 as a potential dip buy there for Apple. But we're going to hold everything, be relatively flat today on the P&L, and hope we can do a little bit more damage moving forward here as this day goes on. There we go. This is why we talk about that. Congratulations, Kruger, there. You made it. There it goes. You are welcome on that daily goal, and congratulations on making it for sure. So there it goes. That's a good play, and we're happy when people are doing that. Futu, yeah, I mean.
Matthias,
one of those plays
yeah, can we look at Futu? I think both those, like Futu and Tiger, they're both just gliding higher. They're just like pressure release, I suppose. Like they're down so much that you're catching a bid, shorts covering, and then you get buy program going on. And both of them, this or a tiger. Orderly is the way I would try to describe it. Like it's outside of the opening candles, it's a very orderly move to the upside on Futu, but there's no levels. Like a lot of times you see a gap down like this and be like, oh, there's a level out here that I think it's going to. Like what levels? Look at the daily chart, look at this. There's no levels to work off of. Maybe look at trend lines if you're into Fibonacci's or something, because you're not really gonna find much of anything else here with these. I would look, for myself, I'm looking at Tiger for just a trend. If it does some kind of an obvious trend break later on in the session, it's got a double top here, but I want this to be a longer trend line. If that really starts to extend, maybe there's a trade in there for myself. But for now, it's just this SMR, which kind of, it was in sympathy yesterday to the quantum plays, I guess, because a lot of times you'll have the same short firms that will short a bunch of the same stuff. And if they short quantum, maybe they short nuclear as well, and they all get squeezed on the same day. And there's no story with the nuclear names why they should be up in the first place.
We actually got stopped out. Thanks for the note there on BBAI. Yeah, man, BBAI up 8%. We like that one. Shout out to you, Minnesota trader. Bang, 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 as we continue to go. We did mark down one, and it's too bad because, we'll take the stop out there on that 130 break. And, it went up to 130.30. It faded back out. I'm like, let me just take the short again because 130 key level. So we'll put some money back into this. And, if you guys are stopped out, I apologize. There's nothing. It hit that level, and sometimes if it doesn't hit it and continue to go higher, we will take that short again. So we're back into this name there on Big Bear AI. Love Big Bear AI, but on Alibaba. So we'll see if we can get a little bit of a lower take here, make that money back on that short. We wind up red on it, so we have to get positive. We don't have to get positive, but this is going to be an attempt to get there. We're going to give it to 130.30 right now. Yeah, what's up, Adam James abroad? Yeah, if you put a 4 in front of that, you might have something in that. But no deal here with Iran.
If we hit 180, our problems have problems.
Yeah, I would think so if that winds up happening. But I mean, AMD was at 180 2 months ago. So is it possible? Yes, Adam. Is it likely? I would say no. So.
It depends on your time frame. Also matters here. I mean.
Yeah. I think eventually probably does.
We have a global recession. Right? What if the war never ends?
Yep.
And we're still talking about it at the end of the year? We get that, and then you get a bit of a bubble burst, rates go through the roof. There's scenarios out there, but in any reasonable time frame, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen.
Whoops, there goes Alibaba.
No, but it is crashing, not crashing, but it is heading back into the downside on AMD. They can hit that 480. I had Intel up instead, but this is absolutely falling. We are seeing USO. This is probably part of the reason. We're seeing USO just flying to the upside. Absolutely flying here. Now into green. So oil futures are now green on the session. That's putting pressure on the market. Adara, headline?
Just to recap that oil story, I mentioned it already, but we're hearing reports, according to CBS, from Pakistan's foreign ministry spokesperson that they're not aware that there's going to be any visit from the Pakistani army chief to Iran. Now, if you guys recall, the visit of the Pakistani army chief to Iran was the story that sent USO lower and the market higher. So the idea that this apparently is nowhere near true, at least again, according to the Pakistani foreign ministry cited by CBS, that could be a bit of a change to things.
I think if we can't trust the Pakistani foreign ministry or the Iranian Guard for reliable news stories, I don't know who we're supposed to trust, and it actually makes me sort of scared because you want reliable sources that you can trust that aren't necessarily Adara. So if we can't trust them, we're all screwed, everybody. Have we heard a single headline from either of those places in the last couple of days that wasn't walked back within 30 minutes, an hour? One. Name me one. Anyways, I think that's just more along the lines of the next time we hear that story, if you're trading in the move, bank the profit, right? Treat it as a short-term thing, not something that's going to trend the markets all day long, because that's what it felt like was going to happen today. It really did feel like USO was going to give you that shot. It was trending down into a flat bottom break. I'm like, man, if that breaks, we're going to be looking at some continuation longs and all that good stuff, and then unfortunately that's not the case. SMR is bouncing, trying to bounce off VWAP. It did tag the volume weighted average price. If it loses VWAP, I want it to close the gap into the lows. If I'm playing this as a sympathy play, then a reload on this that isn't the trend break at the high probably requires the thing that it's sympathy to look weaker. And you're still looking at least decently strong on QBTS, but I don't know how much I like standing on falling knives. Intel didn't get anywhere close to support on that dip. Gets to 118. It'll look a little bit closer to this 116.5, 117 area. So that's nowhere close just yet. Market pulling back in. We'll hold on to this short, see if it goes. But I got to be patient with the dip buys. Nothing's really coming into levels that I like yet.
I think that's about right. Yeah, we're not really seeing too much over here. We tried Alibaba, and that didn't work. That's still at 130. So if you're interested in that kind of a play, you can have a quick little look over there as well. But I was just going back over to Apple to double check what's going on. I still like this 306.50 area. Hopefully that'll come back. Well, not hopefully. I mean, I hope the market goes higher. But if that winds up happening, that would be a play. There, attention. We did get long on NVIDIA. We actually got $49 flat on the Canadian CDR. Yeah. So we're long $49. You can see how this trades. Nothing's even going through right now. It's just flashing levels. So liquidity is not huge on this thing, but 354,000. This is a way for me to play NVIDIA and not pay for currency. So this is something that I did yesterday. We bought some NVIDIA today. Let's see what winds up happening. This is what NVIDIA looks like proper. It's down to 18s right now. So 218.
Oh, that's support.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I bought some there on NVIDIA. 218 and change NVDA. We could definitely have a look over there at some point again today. But so far, so good. We went long in the swing account with, well, we're already long, but we added to it on NVIDIA there today. I just saw a dip down there. Let me see what Micron's doing quickly because we want to make sure that we still trade strong names. All right, not much, pretty flat there today, down 1%. Thought that there was something, we just got a note that it was hitting VWAP. So unfortunately, VWAP is right in the middle, so that's not happening. The other one was Intel. Intel did flush in, and now it's bouncing off one. Oh, wow. Is it ever bouncing off 118? So there's the flush down into 118. There's the bounce back up on Intel. So hopefully NVIDIA can follow suit with that one, and we'll be happy with that. Oh, yeah, ARM. Oh, it did break 3 bills? Okay, good.
Oh, that was dirty, though.
Oh, was it? Okay. It's now trying to go higher there. Still like some ARM. We did sell some of that yesterday at 297, but there goes ARM. 302, 303. Good, man. We love this ARM. Let's keep going higher, man. 302 and change. Good level. Wow, that was down to 288 there in the pre-market. Down, what, 2%? Now up 1.5%, so a good turnaround day for ARM. And then we got the super chat on Rigetti. Your guys are welcome. Both love this long there, Rigetti, and boy, oh boy, did it hit off that 200 period. So we're going to have to definitely, tomorrow's trade today, Rigetti long, 200 period, whatever the hell that is, as long as it's underneath it, on Tuesday. I almost said Monday there. We're going to be doing that. I can almost make the sticky note right now.
There might be tokenized stuff that you could trade that on Monday. I have no idea how that works.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested.
Some of those tokens, do they trade on market holidays? Because I know you can do most equities. I have no idea. But
yeah, of course they do. It's not regulated.
No, but it should, in theory, and you'd be able to get some price action. Well, we're bouncing. The market is bouncing off of VWAP. Stop me if you've heard this story before. Breakout pulls back into the volume weighted average price and then bounces higher. So SMR, breakout pulls back into the volume weighted average price and now bouncing higher. So if we if we break above, it'll be about 11.57.58, like right in here. If that candle goes, I'll jump out of this trade, look for the next opportunity out there. Just haven't really found it. Apparently Dell's making all-time. What is not making all-time highs today? I think that's the better question.
What's not?
13%. Wasn't Dell up? Yeah, okay. 13% for Dell?
All these component parts are just ripping. I mean, this is what the story has been about for a while. So yeah,
these are meme stocks. You can't lose. I bet you even SMCI's up today. You know the market is bullish. All right, it's only up 3%, but up is up. That counts. That'll play. Up 3.5%. They're not even. I mean, they're not bad, whatever. I harp on them way too much. You guys don't care. But yeah, these chip names are absolutely insane at this particular point. And you can forget about the quantum dip into V. Once again, it just doesn't want to get there. It did tag the volume weighted average price yesterday for an entry. This time, it just doesn't want to get close. But that was 10:30. So there's still a chance it does a dip that's good enough that maybe gets us in here. NVIDIA sucks, somebody just said. Why does NVIDIA suck?
Because they had earnings and they didn't report properly and they didn't give you the action you wanted. I don't know. We love NVIDIA, but yeah, it does suck today. I think that person is correct.
Yeah, it's down
on that one, 130.60. All right, look, I think Alibaba's trying to base out right now, and I'm looking for different plays. I don't really see too much, and I hate to always keep going back to the same well here, but I'm just wondering if we are trying to base out. We've tried the short. There's the short in, good. Then we reloaded it, bad. We tried it again at 130, took a 30-cent hit. Nothing to complain about there. But let's just wait to see if this is going to be right. So we'll enter into another one right now. What's my average price? 06, whatever, man, 20 cents in the money. We'll see if this can go. We lost 30 the last time, so maybe we should put a bid down here and see if we can capture a little bit of something in the 70s. That would make a little bit of sense for a risk-to-reward ratio on this one. And then we'll just play it against the highs. Maybe we do go for a dip down into 129 again. I mean, that was a good move the first time it happened. Will it happen again? Hopefully for me, but who knows? So there we go. We're going to try that off of what's basing out to the top side. But this is actually looking pretty strong. We can check out on Futu and see what's going on there. It's probably better that I look at the FXI instead of all of this. Yeah, so that's pulling back just a little bit. What is the broader Asian market doing here in China? Obviously not Asia, but Chinese FXI is the top 100 tech names there in China. So that's starting to fade a little bit. This is going to be heavily levered to Alibaba, but I'd like to see the whole, okay, there it is. I like to see the whole cohort come down. So we'll hold on to Alibaba and see if we can do something with this one.
Well, speaking of Futu or Tiger or any of the other ones in the space, that double top on Tiger kind of held, right? Like it's 442 here and 448 or 447 or whatever over there, but it is holding that high and threatening to break that trend. It's 10 o'clock, so the opening range is more or less set in like 1 minute or so. So if it breaks the trend line, you've got, it's about 10% to the $4 level, but it's very close to confirming that right here. So that's the only way I was going to play this, was waiting for some kind of a trend break. I had to double check. I knew with Futu we had shorts. I didn't know if we had shorts on Tiger.
Okay, yeah.
I guess it's a regular stock. We do, but it's a regular stock.
Nice.
Like it's the fact that it's down 25% today, notwithstanding, it is going to be.
Yeah, it was like $200 or something, right? It was like a big stock.
Yeah, both these two were big stocks. We're going to go to Adara. We'll come back and might stare this tiger in the face.
Nice.
And while you stare at that tiger, Neil, we're also going to be staring here at the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print, the final print for May. 48.2 is the forecast. 48.2 is also the prior print. 5-year inflation expectations, we're expecting 3.4%, same as that prior print for the 5-year. 1-year inflation expectations, 4.6% versus 4.5% previous. So let's see how these consumers are feeling here in terms of their level of enthusiasm and concerns about inflation. We're getting sentiment 44.8, guys. So that is well below estimates here of 48.2. I believe that also could be a record low as well. 3.9 coming out here for the 5-year inflation expectations for Michigan. Again, 3.9% versus 3.4% prior. 1-year inflation expectations, 4.8% versus 4.6% prior. So basically, guys, what that means is consumers are feeling much less sentimental in a good way than we were thinking. They're also more concerned about inflation. Market actually not reacting too negatively to this, even though on its face it's a quote-unquote negative number. We'll take a look here at USO, which is continuing to try to bounce here off of lows. We heard in the pre-market that we had plans from the Pakistani army chief to visit Iran. CBS then reported that the Pakistan Foreign Ministry had no idea about this trip. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State of the U.S., said we're not there yet, quote unquote, when it comes to a deal with Iran. And also, Wall Street Journal reporters saying that any draft deals circulating around, that's false reporting. So lots happening today and lots to be aware of. Please stay with us here at this desk. I want to mention a couple other stories here. We talked about FUTU and TIGR already, but both these companies in watch are receiving some regulatory scrutiny and even fines in the case here of FUTU, fined to the tune of roughly $271 million over some concerns there in China. Another stocks to watch here, of course, you've got day one earnings plays like WDAY, BULL, and Zoom. But in the meantime, we're going to zoom back over to Sean and Neil. If you enjoy the content, please hit the like and the subscribe, because we're here for you all day, every day the markets are open.
Killing it with the puns, Adara. And one of the reasons why you move a stop, look, remember to tell you, it's a buy, not buy program, but it's a buying day on SMR. So move the trail down. The second it hit that 57 where we put the trail out, it shot right back up to the entry price. So this is still an upward trend. We took our shot at it. It got to VWAP. It didn't follow through to the low of the day. You take what you can get, and you shouldn't be upset. But the market is looking it's not looking very good. USO's making another break to that high. Tiger, which was looking like it was going to break the trend, no confirmation. It just took out the high of the day. So this continues to go. I'll wait for it to close underneath this trend line, take our shot at it at that point. But what's also happening with this NASDAQ going down is some of the strong chip names are looking pretty weak. This is now a full-fledged failed breakout lower high on Intel. So you can say whatever you want. This one is looking rather bearish on INTC. So if it gets anything into VWAP, I'm going to look for the VWAP short in this bad boy. You can, the market's looking weak. It is what it is, Adara.
Mix of comments coming here from Fed's Waller saying that Fed should consider rate hikes in the near future. Now, that I think is key. Also saying that hikes are basically going to mostly be needed if inflation expectations unanchor. But he said there is a risk there. So, I mean, he's saying he doesn't think they need to hike, but they also could hike. Like a lot of Fed comments lately, pretty wishy-washy here. But again, I think the main thing here to mention is that, at least as of right now, he doesn't think a hike is in the immediate future. Back to you.
What would your trading look like if your capital wasn't the constraint? That's the reality for most traders. It's not skill holding you back, it's the size. Trade the Pool changes that. Step into U.S. equity markets with up to $200,000 in buying power without even committing your own capital. Full access to stocks and ETFs, both long and short. These executions are with precision and the freedom that serious traders expect. Your performance is measured by one standard: discipline, risk management, and consistent execution. Meet that standard and you can operate at scale. No subscriptions, no ongoing obligations, just a clear path forward. For those ready to trade beyond limitations, this is your next level. Visit tradethepool.com and please use trader code TraderTV to get 10% off. That would be greatly appreciated. Shout out to Trade the Pool for their continued sponsorship of this fine program. So I mean, hopefully you guys are, part of a prop floor if your funding is an issue, or if not, I mean, the PDT rule has obviously changed. We heard June something yesterday. Someone gave us a little bit of an update on that one. So
Webull came out saying day one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right away, Webull is going to be able to make sure that all of their customers are able to get rid of the PDT rule and trade as they see fit. Here, you don't have to deal with that. So in Canada, we've never really had anything resembling it. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's overall a good thing. What you should be at least a little bit concerned about is none of the stocks that you think would be going up after that news did so. Like Robinhood didn't budge. They didn't care. Webull didn't care. They've all been very, very sideways. And I say it in a somber voice as someone who bought the Robinhood consolidation, which is still consolidating. That's good. At least you're not going down, Robinhood. At least you're not going down.
Thankfully.
That's about all you can say for it.
SoFi.
No,
who has an
thing.
orange around here?
I can smell the citrus.
Tadera. Joe. Oh, it's Joe.
Oh, it is Joe. You tried to pretend it wasn't him.
Hey, Ramin, Oh, he gave thumbs up. Oh, I thought you pointed back there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that's such a great smell, that fresh orange.
It is refreshing.
That's fantastic. Okay, so just wanted to say that we do have... Coffee. Ramin will be hopefully coming back with some popcorn at some point there. I was actually thinking about, I might go to Shoppers Drug Mart and just buy some popcorn so that we can all pop it every day. I think that was a lot of fun to do.
I want to buy a machine. What's the one that you have?
The one we have is like from like the 80s or something. It's really super old. I don't need.
But it's like one of the vintage ones. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's the one you're thinking about. I just don't know what the name of it is off the top of my head. We talked about the move happening down, and people were like, "Oh, yuck, NVIDIA. NVIDIA's day two." Yeah, yuck, NVIDIA. I bought some at 218. It's now down to 215. This continues to make lows, down 1.7%. How low can we go? I mean, what about 200? That's where your 50-period moving average is right now. I'm not brave enough to short this thing, but there it goes. And if you guys were, that's a great moment right there. VWAP, 200 period, everything is like lining up, and then it whooshed to the downside. So yeah, NVIDIA, bye-bye, and AMD and some of the other names were catching wind today. They're coming kind of pull back a little bit too, 480 down to 464. It's doesn't seem that dramatic, but it's still $15 downside there for AMD. So we watch out for some of those plays. Maybe I should have, and we'll think about what we're going to do with AMD, with NVIDIA, but Broadcom, another name that, I don't have any shares in other than indexing, and you're down here into 414. So that's a name that maybe, and I was looking at this earlier thinking like, do we really need to get more NVIDIA? Maybe we should sort of diversify into something like a Broadcom, but right into there. 401 and change, a good low. And it doesn't look like NVIDIA really, you know, it's hovering around the tops. We still have, I mean, hold on a second. When is Broadcom earnings? Because they're one of the last ones to go. So AVGO there, Wednesday, June 3rd. So we have, in a couple weeks, we have Broadcom earnings. So, you know, if NVIDIA earnings are any sort of a indication there, yeah, maybe Broadcom is not quite yet a buy. We wait for June the 3rd to see what winds up happening there. Yeah, we celebrated Alibaba, again, too many Bs. BBAI to the upside, and now it's to the downside. So I still like the 200 period moving average on any kind of, you know, momentum kind of stock. And when you're up 8% and now you're back down, pulling back down another 5, I think this could play 4.25, looking juicy like for BBAI. I still like Microsoft, but lost yesterday on it.
Oh, so Hangry Wife, you're absolutely correct. Rocket Labs does have a launch today, but it is tonight. It's late. It's in the evening. So you don't have to worry about the whole, you're trading live, and then maybe you'd get a moment out of Billions, which is one of the better episodes. Morbid, but one of the better episodes of Billions. And Billions had I don't know if you've seen it, but dollar bill was celebrating when the rocket exploded.
Yeah, I know about it. I didn't.
It's fictional, so you can laugh about it because it's fictional. Dollar bill's like, yeah, we're short. I'm like, the founder was on it, bro. He gone, Adara.
There was also that iconic rocket explosion scene in Succession where you don't even see it. You just see, because I guess Kieran Culkin's character invested or something in this rocket, and you just see his face as he's watching it go down. It's like, yeah, there's it's a weird theme in finance-related shows. True.
I actually have, I have not seen Succession. I've heard it's so good, and yeah, I just never found the time to start it, unfortunately, because so. Well, I know that happens in it. It's fine. It's so old. It's always okay to spoil something if it's really old. This will probably be the first time that two traders in the show at the same time were in a Chinese stock or Chinese stocks. But that trend break did technically happen on Tiger. It held 450 and then broke the trend confirmation here. So I'll look for the pullback into VWAP. It's still going sideways for the most part. Looking up at what's going on in the overall NASDAQ and USO, though. Not that that matters here, but you are getting a bit of a curl in USO. So that's the spot to look for some longs, long entry points. At least I would think so. And what's NVIDIA doing at this moment? 217. Okay, that's at some big time lows. Tesla, just going through the things that were good dip buys yesterday. Tesla's at VWAP. Tesla's been uptrending for a little bit of a moment here. Intel's the other one worth looking at as we're trying to catch a curl. It's not making it's making some higher lows, but it's still got the lower highs. Intel's got a wedge forming. Maybe a wedge break on Intel. That plays both ways, but potential wedge break here on Intel. As long as USO goes down, I want to be looking for hopefully a breakout to the long side on something tech related. And yes, TXJ, Dell is absolutely gone. Absolutely gone.
I mean, President Trump wins again. I mean, the guy literally tells everybody to buy Dell, and then it just rips up there. So, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
The only one that wasn't parabolic was Palantir, and that's the one you put the ticker in.
And that's exactly
so weird.
That's part of why we said get off that Palantir trade, right? All right, so I lost all my money yesterday at Microsoft. Let's see if we can do it again here today. Microsoft is downside there, and it just look, man, it's falling into some levels. Like definitely not loving this stock. I mean, it's just like we're at 424. We just fell all the way back into the previous lows, and it looks like we're going to take them out again. And I was just sort of trying to figure out here, and wow, this is really ruining the look of this chart when we have these dark pool wicks. But it was coming into, again, the 200 period moving average on a 5-minute chart. Thought that there could have been some sort of a hold there, which there was yesterday into the afternoon. But it looks like we are going to slip up, and this time we are not, averaging into this, until the death of us. I'm going to give it to 417.50, which was the low of the pre-market rate, yesterday's little wick there. So we're going to see if that one wants to hold. And if it doesn't, I mean, it's easy to get out of. We're not heavily invested into this name. So we're just going to watch out for Microsoft down here. Yesterday we at this point we probably had a unit or two. Today we have half of one unit. So we're going to wait to see if there's some actionable trading there. And hey, man, if the market wants to rebound, look, like I'm out of the money now, 30 cents on Microsoft. Like, It's a $418 stock. We're not going to worry too much about that trade. And then Alibaba has been good. We made some money back on it for sure. But look what happened. It just really did respect the 25 period. And it doesn't look like it wants to get too much lower than this 129.75. So we're going to get stopped out if it breaks that 50. Let's put another bid in around that 80 marker there in case we get a dip down for Alibaba. Another super chat. We can put that up and see what this is.
Throw it up.
Throw it up, throw it up. All right.
I can do it.
I don't know. Tiffany's working back there.
Oh, I got it. It's fine. We've got $20. Oh, Canada,
Okay,
Greg for the win. I'm just going to say Greg for the win because it's Greg FW.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? QBTS 288.33 to 29.
Large position.
Sorry, 28.33, 288. Could you imagine? 29.15, took a larger position. 17-minute hold, that's your day. Awesome. Thanks for doing it. The quantum has been an absolute rocket ship. I don't think you can go wrong, but when I was checking yesterday, QBTS and Rigetti had been the best two percentage-wise. Like, I think that was the right place to be because what's the other one? QUBT, right?
The big one is IonQ.
Yeah, IonQ, but neither one of those two moved as much as Rigetti and QBTS. So you got to try to pick the best ones out there. Awesome, Greg, and enjoy the long weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe check paper trade, look at the markets, figure out why Cerberus is dying a fast death here as well, and hope you stick around for the show. I don't know what's going on with Cerberus here. It's almost SSR. I want to say it's at all-time lows, but it's a recent IPO, so every single time it hits the bid, it's basically hitting an all-time low. There's no levels to watch for this.
There it is.
Round numbers, 250, 225, 200. The issue price is way too far away because that was it 180 or 185?
85.
85. Yeah, I mean, forget about that. The day that it gets to 185, I can get that, and thank you again for the super chat. The day that Cerberus gets to 185, it's worth looking at as a level, but we're not there. Nowhere close.
No, we had Steve Heilman on there. He talked about wait years before you get into an IPO. He might be right on that.
That could be weeks. Well, to get to 185 will be weeks, not years.
Oh, yeah, no, but wait years until you do anything on an IPO is what he said. I don't know. All right, so Alibaba, finally, man, we do get it. So bang, 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 right there, back into the 70s. Okay, it didn't, we could have just shorted it again up there. I'm not... Honestly, like now that we've got that filled out, we're starting to play with house money on this trade. Let's just wait to see. It would be unwise of me not to bid something at that 129.50 area. So let's just put a bid there. We'll see if we get out, and then we'll wait for 129 flat and then 128.50. Let's see if Alibaba wants to make it rain downside there today. Oh, okay, look, we were just in the money on this barely. We didn't take it out. I'm still waiting. My offer on Microsoft is right here at 50s just to see if we do get going. But I don't know, man. This market is trying to turn around. We're not going to average into this. We have our plan of action here on Microsoft, and that is either go or no, and we stop out of MSFT. I'm actually waiting at, we actually just missed that. I was at 25s there, so we are still bidding on that low just to, like I said, get that half unit right now. We have a third of one. So if it does come in, that will be that half unit. I might have said we had a half unit before, but I thought we were going to be getting that fill. We did not. I'm bidding 25s. I'm not even sure how we missed that there. It must have just been one of those things where it kind of goes through you. There's so many dark pool prints happening right now. ARM is just, thank you, Zion. I appreciate the love on that one. Actually, we said tomorrow's trade yesterday, and that's why I think you mentioned it, Zion, was ARM breaking through $300. Despite me selling some of it, there it goes, breaking through those levels. There goes 300, 304 now for ARM, as that's reaching out to new highs. Intel also, we're hearing in the chat, 3%. I'm seeing in the chat, bang, Intel. There we go on that one. Definitely get some longs in your account if you haven't already on INTC, 120 and change, man. The president doesn't miss, man. He swings and hits home runs, it seems like, all of the time. There goes Intel, man. Much love back there to the upside for INTC. Dell, Intel, some of the other plays they've made, MP, different things like, I don't know if those are still moving, but they're starting to make a move higher.
I mean, they did the moves when it happened. How long they go is up to you to take some profit. Like the only one that didn't do anything good was LAC was good for like 1 day, right? Lithium America, I think, was maybe 1 or 2 days for lithium, but everything else was an absolute rocket ship. But watch out, Intel as quickly. Whoa, okay, what's that candle all about? Okay, as quickly as it was breaking the highs, look at that reversal. Sorry, I just saw that on my level 2 up top there, and we just lost the 122 pretty heavily and coming back into VWAP. That is a big time reversal. over there on Intel. No news or anything. Nothing happening in USO. Maybe just a rejection of an even dollar break here for INTC. Still only in Tiger. That's what we're waiting for. I mean, it can either just break out that 45 or 450, or we're looking for that low. We got the 1-to-1, but I want the most of this down into the volume weighted average price. If I only get one fill and get a quarter out, I might take another shot at this if it makes another trend, sets up a different trend line, but for now we're working with this. The other name was that SMR, which was also threatening to come back in. That was our first short on this one, trailed here, but now it's got this higher low. So when it pulls back into VWAP, and it's threatening to set up another trend break. So if it can confirm under here, 150, I'll take a second shot. In this case, the stop would be there, not the high of the day. I don't know if that's obvious. It's obvious to me, but I want that closing under the trend line. I'm going to take another shot here at SMR, as long as it doesn't break through this 1160. If it does, then I don't have to be in the trade at all. What else we got going on here? I see Trader Forever, UNH is in play today. Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I have some
healthcare
love. I don't know if is it. Hopefully it's up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it is. Yeah, I mean that's only 1%, but you know it's
okay.
UNH. I didn't really realize that this was actually. There's not a story here for UNH that I'm aware of, but the chart does look good. This is one. I remember the reason I know this price and if it can hold above 380 is because I had to swing into this twice, and the one time it worked, it couldn't get past the 380 level, and I had to take it out there. Didn't have to. I don't have to do anything. That's where I took it out, is what I should say. Dara?
Confirming no story on UNH.
It's just up because it's up.
It's up because
it's an upward trend.
It's up,
sometimes some things in upward trend don't need a reason to be up. It's just what they do.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's up 1%. I mean, that's
not that much.
Yeah. When UNH has a story, you're going to see it flying around. There, that is for sure. So we just missed 4. I mean, it went to 419. What 419.48. We're at 419.50s. So missed that, but we weren't going to get out of a whole bunch, man, maybe 5% there. So we'll wait to see if Microsoft can fill us a little lower there. We're still holding on to the short that we actually had written down there, Alibaba. Yesterday we had traded Microsoft. I think I'm going to start to get back into that name. That was a name that, you know, I used to trade a lot of back when this show first started. So Microsoft, definitely a friend of mine, P&L wise. But yesterday we lost on it. We'll see what it wants to do here today. Obviously a much different name now in the 400s as opposed to when we used to like it there, sort of in the teens, like 219s or something like that, around 200 marker there. See, like right now, you see I'm bidding in the middle here. Like, why am I not getting filled there on Microsoft? I don't understand. I have to like refresh this. Maybe some of my orders just aren't playing nicely right now. Okay, well, it's good that we didn't get a little bit longer there. I was trying to get some 218s there on Microsoft. Just got to make sure that my sell order is right, breaking through 417.50. Here it comes right now. Wow. As this market goes down, so does Softy go down there. I just bought a little bit to make sure that my system was good. Microsoft right now going down. We're going to get stopped out here in just a couple seconds. So there goes Softy. We lost on it yesterday. It looks like we'll have to suffer similar fate here today. All right, it's 10:20, Adara. Let's go learn a little bit more about this market and some other moves.
So this first story, actually not a small cap, but it is moving and it just came out, so I want to mention this. This is LUNR and RKLB, both on watch after NASA announces realignment to accelerate their mission delivery, including reorganization, which will strengthen their commercial lunar services narrative. So anything rocket or moon related, apparently a good look. LUNR, which did report earnings last week, is near day's highs. And as we just looked at there, RKLB is trying to soar past day's highs. Let's start here with one of these small caps, one that I've already mentioned and one that was also on our watch list today. Nothing super notable about the float of the market cap here, but on Wednesday, this company began trading as QTrex Quantum. Its prior ticker, I believe, was IIAA, or IINN was the prior ticker here for QTEX. They changed their ticker and their name to Quantum-related focus the morning before we got this quantum catalyst with the government. Then yesterday, so the same day as the quantum catalyst with the government, they announced that they're in discussions with an unnamed top 5 global quantum computing company about a strategic collaboration. So very vague headline here for QTEX. Near intraday highs, no new news from it today. NXL, last but not least, Nexalin Technology, announcing that they secured neurostimulation legislative provision in that fiscal year 2027 Military Construction and Veteran Affairs and Related Agencies Appropriation Bill. This announcement was made yesterday, so day 2 catalyst for NXL. Back to you.
too. Microsoft drops through. Thanks, Adara. Microsoft drops through that 418 level. We'll punch that out and take a little bit of a hit there. But honestly, it's a cup of coffee compared to what we normally take. So that's going to be a sucky one there. Alibaba is going to work out for us, it looks like. There's a fill at 50. So it looks like the short will continue to print there today. And it's NVIDIA's world on the downside. I mean, I feel like they're the ones leading this whole shebang. Lower, she bangs, right there. Rigetti.
I would say Cerberus.
No, Cerberus doesn't have any skin in the game here. But it's Rigetti upside right now, 16%. Wow. Add that onto the 30% yesterday. There we go again, U.S. government making moves. Come on, Carney. All right, so that's what's happening there with Rigetti. We could check out on Palantir, another software name that can't say I love anymore. We talked about this at 140, not really loving it. We were surprised that there was not that Donald Trump bump in that name, and it looks like, for good reason here, as Palantir still making downside moves. And we could check the IGV quickly, and I'll throw it over to Neil. The IGV, this is going to be your software ETF, and of course Tesla's in. There's a lot of big names in this one. We've sort of gone over that before, but there it is right now. Ooh, at the 200 period moving average. Didn't even notice that one. Softy now 417. Man, that one is bleeding. Sort of a slow death over the last little while. That should be a name that maybe we decide to pick up on the long term when there's maybe a little bit of a turnaround or comes into this 400 mark. That's not a horrible spot there. It seems like it's a big move, but that's just because I'm day trading, right? It's
on the daily, it doesn't.
Yeah, definitely. If you're holding this name, you're not upset about the returns that Microsoft's been giving you. Obviously, you're upset about the fact that it's not at all-time highs like many of these other names are. But hey, man, you can't. It's tough to pick winners, that's for sure. And Microsoft has been one, so hopefully you guys have been in that up to this point, and now you're not too worried about it. But Microsoft down to 417. I like it at $4 for a longer-term trade.
Yeah, picking up winners for 5 years and 10 years is the name of the game. Picking up winners for what's going to be good. Will Microsoft bounce now? I don't know. Will Microsoft be fine 5 years from now? Will it? I don't know that Microsoft will be the same Microsoft that we know, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be absolutely fine in the next 5 to 10 years. Feel probably better about a few other Mag 7 names, but just a couple of things, brass tacks. SMR finally broke this wedge to the downside. It's an entry above VWAP, which I don't necessarily love, but a rule's a rule. If it gets under VWAP and consolidates, I think that'll be a good place to add to it, just to be a little bit conservative, at least for now. So if we break out the prior high, that'll be 1165 or so. So giving this one about 14 pennies. And I still think the low of the day is the target. The other thing is, if you are following a CBRS, I said there are no levels other than psychological stuff. It's trying to hold 254. That's absolutely random. 250, if it gets to 250, it'll be down 10%. It's basically down 10% now. So it's SSR if it gets to 250. At least that would be an SSR bounce possible level here for Cerberus. So it's on the radar because of how heavily it's falling. But if it does do a failed breakdown under 250, I might look for that as a reversal trade. But that's a falling knife right now. You can do X. I wanted to finish it the other way.
Rumble. Okay.
Rumble call. 850 for 30 cents, expires next Friday. Your break even right now, it's at 30 cents. Chart looks strong, but not sure if it'll reach strike price. What do we think? What does the chart look like on Rumble? Haven't looked at Rumble. When was the last time we talked about Rumble on the show?
There was something about Rumble, but yeah, it has been a minute.
They had earnings, I believe, last week. I had some posts about it on social media. It was last Thursday after the bell.
This is all the volume it does?
After the bell.
It's 10:30, and this has done 476,000 shares.
That might be a lot for Rumble. I don't know.
Is it?
I don't. I mean, we don't.
That's a lot. No, the chart.
It might not be. I have no idea.
No, a good-looking chart. This doesn't move. There's literally no volume on this. No, but that's still a good-looking chart, an uptrend. It dipped and held support at 7. It's above the 200. It's above the 50. One thing Brian used to not used to say, but Brian Shannon used to mention, when you have a downward sloping 200 period moving average, when you're looking at scalp trades, try to respect resistance levels more because it's in a downtrend. So that's the advice I would give in terms of taking profit if it can finally break out this. But you have time. You said you have till next week, and it's still looking solid. Not doing volume today, but it's still up 1.5%, and the market's under VWAP. All right, kind of looks fine to me. Adara?
Here in Reddit, RDDT is pushing lower. TechCrunch reporting that it's going to face some competition with Meta. Again, here, according to this TechCrunch report, Meta is launching a new Reddit-like app called Forum. So not a good look here for the OG, the real Reddit, RDDT, which is pushing through and past day's lows. Back to you.
Reddit, huh? Okay. I mean, I like Reddit. Meta's not doing too much. We can look at Reddit though. Meta's having no reaction to this because, as Adara said, this is more of a shot fired at Reddit, not like Meta making this big huge move. I mean, people gotta support it. I don't know if depends where it's attached. If it's going to be attached somehow to Instagram and you can access it easily, that's fine. I'm not sure, other than Sharif, how many people are using Facebook anymore. 141 and change right there down to the downside is Reddit. I again, like the name, I do think that there's a big story with Reddit and these LLMs. I mean, they are searching through there. I don't know. I mean, but that story's old, so I can't be like, hey, I like Reddit for that reason. I feel like every time I'm on there, there's not enough advertising. Like they could start to, push some of that angle as well, maybe charge for some forums, or I don't know if, and that might not work because people like it as free form. But yeah, down into there, 120 and change for Reddit. Yuck. I'm not in this name. It was one that I was thinking about getting into and just didn't wind up pulling the trigger or anything on Reddit. But yeah, you nailed it with Microsoft and trying to think about holding things for long term. I mean, there's obviously, you can see how hard day trading is. I mean, I think this will be back-to-back days where I'll be red, and you guys can ask us at any time, what's going on with our accounts and how we've been trading. But yeah, like just trying to trade some of these names intraday when you get some of the stories hitting, can be difficult. And just make sure that when there is profit there, that you do wind up taking it. We do talk about the fact that like 5% of day traders are successful. We're just trying to show you guys the way. Be disciplined. Make sure that you do have your accounts locked and you understand like that you can lose it all. Be disciplined with it and understand the risk to reward again on all of your tradings. Happy Fish and Chips Friday as well to you, Nikki. We are excited to get that going. It should be a fun one during the midday show as it's Fish and Chips Day. We do have, it's 10:30 right now. We will have What's for Lunch. We'll talk about that in just in about 20 minutes. This is what's happening in the broader market. I know we went over and we did some talk there about the small cap, so thank you, Dara, for that one. The midday show are small cap guys. I'm a mega cap or a futures guy. There's NVDA down 1.4, Broadcom down, Apple, Apple with the upside. Apple was the one long here today. We wrote down Rigetti long. Again, like just punch long off the open, I guess, is the lesson there. And thank you for the super chats about that. Apple 304, Baba short. We're still in that one. That's still to be determined, but we're red on that one right now. And the Qs dip by into 77. Hopefully that can happen. I'm still sitting there. Look at this space, man. We talked about the retail names yesterday, and it's, oops, I don't want that one. I want this one up. There it is. You're in now. Have a teen handle on to Walmart as it gets into 119. We did sell off some Target, but Target's still doing real well. Like that's the name that's winning right now, Target, which is kind of surprising to me, over at Walmart. Walmart down 1.64. Ross stores reported yesterday. That's a nice number, right? Up 6%. You don't get too much retail bump, and it's nice to see Ross stores doing it.
TJX was
TJX got a bump. Yeah, it's only down 1%, so TJX, again, another one. A little bit of the lower end retailers like a Ross, like a TJX, they're catching those bids. Ooh, we looked up Tesla early. We should look it up late. Look at Tesla right now, up 1.65%. Oh, yeah. Yes, Ford. Okay.
Ford,
boom. Shaga-laga-laga-laga. Ford is a name that, we've been talking about for a minute. And we got a super chat yesterday about Ford. And there it goes, nicely cooking. I don't know who that was, that super chat. I said, hey, if this gets up to $14.50, maybe it's time to sell it. I'm going to be doing that one on Ford. This might even be close to I don't know if it's a double or what on Ford, but this name was sub $10. I'm going to look at it in my account. Finally, was Ford.
GM up on today?
GM was also up today, yeah. So both of these names were doing quite well. I think I have pretty much equal shares, but I did sell some GM, so I haven't sold any Ford, so we'll see about getting out of some Ford today. For 100% going to get out of Ford. I'm just going to do it once the show is done. Nice move, up 6%. Adara, is there a stock-specific reason here for Ford? We do know that they've sort of revamped some of their business models there and are looking into energy now.
Sorry to interrupt you. I apologize for the time.
I want you to.
Jim Farley posted on X, but he was just kind of recapping news from Ford Europe this week that we already knew, and that was last night. So CEO Jim Farley randomly recapping his company's news events on a Thursday night on X.
Okay.
But again, like it's nothing, no new information.
All right, no new information. So there you go, man. No new information on Ford. That's good enough for me, man. I mean, you're coming right back into this level. So let's get the, you know what, out of probably half of our position there on Ford. I'm actually getting FOMO. I may log in and do this right now in case this thing busts back in. But hey, man, the futures are on the way up, so maybe nothing to worry about there. We tried to get that NASDAQ bid. It just didn't hit us low enough. I'm sitting at, yeah, not even close, 77.10. Ooh, closer than I thought. It got down to 77.30s. So I was at 77.10s, so that didn't hit. There it is, right? There's 10s. That's sort of the closing price yesterday. Missed it, though, so 77.10 on my mind there for the futures. That's like the only big order that I have. I guess I can cancel my Rigetti at 22.15s right now. Yes, I'm just going to do that right now so I don't have to worry about it.
If you get filled, it's like winning the lottery.
That's what I mean. Well,
if it fills, then
I might not want it.
I don't know, something really bad. I won't say what it would
It wouldn't be my levels at this point.
Yeah. Well, like, what would have to happen for those to get down there?
So that means we just missed out by 40 cents.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and by the way, like, how much is that up? I think it's because QBTS is
20.
only up. QBTS is only up 15 right now. So Rigetti might have taken the lead between those two, because I think you said 18. Yeah. But NVIDIA broke trend here. It finds immediate resistance at 217. So there's your all-day trend line or all-morning trend line. It hasn't been a full day. Breaks the trend line. Cannot seem to get past the 217 level yet. VWAP's at 218 anyway, so this is like a play into VWAP. This is eerily similar to yesterday. Although I think I was in Tesla before NVIDIA. I was in Tesla at this time of day, and then NVIDIA I think later. Tesla, go Tesla.
Yeah, they were up 1.5. Oh, now 2.5, yeah.
That's not even the key I wanted to hit. I wanted to hit, here, we'll hit that one. That's a little bit better for Tesla, but NVIDIA lagging again. It did make the move into VWAP, but let's see if this trend break can get us in there. SMR back to close to flat on it. First shot short gets into VWAP. Second one hasn't really given me a reason to add. I want to stay net bearish on this, but I want to be at least remotely disciplined about it. As long as it's not making fresh highs, it hasn't busted out this 11.8 area. And if it turns, I feel like this has pure potential to get all the way down into $11. So I want to keep that one alive on this bad boy. My goodness, Tesla. I'm a little surprised by that. Like yesterday, Tesla was just like, it was basically the same as NVIDIA. It was weak, buy the dip, wait for it to get to the teens, and then you were good to go. And yeah, Tesla's on a breakout train, 2.5% when the market's basically doing nothing. I mean, we're not doing anything here. NASDAQ's 0.5, and that's exactly what we were at the open. It's like the NASDAQ hasn't even moved. And Tesla doesn't have anything too crazy going on. They had that China FSD thing a couple of days ago, but that's not that big of a story.
Yeah, asking if anybody's green there in the chat. Sorry, Dane, I wish that you were as well. Some people trading, AMD, Tesla, Qualcomm as well. Tony's in, hey, what's up, Tony? Tony's into Tesla from 421, so congratulations there on Tesla. Good one there. 3 minute, you're right, yuppie mullets right there. Big move there happening in Tesla. So that's a good one there. Looking around Nebius, maybe some people talking about that. IWM, there's ARM. Yeah, here you go. What's up, Zion? Yeah, you're welcome, my guy there. I'm just really glad that you're able to cash in on a little bit of ARM there today. And we, it's just crazy. Like we sit there and I talked about this yesterday right at the close. We said, what about ARM breaking tomorrow 300? We got to get that ready. We even talked about it at the open this morning around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And there it goes, man. Just sat there basically so stupid. Should have definitely had that one. So I'm definitely glad, Zion, that you do, my guy there. So that's what it's all about. Corning was a name that I've missed as well. We can check out on CEG. That might be moving around. We had some IREN love. That was one name that I was like, wish we would have got into that. We're still bidding that 45.50 or whatever it is. We got missed on that most recent dip down there into the 50-period moving average. Oh, IREN down. Maybe CEG down as well. So that's okay. If some of these names come in, oh no, okay, CEG, I mean, we'll take it right there. We'll we'll just go bang. We like that CG's trying to go back up to the upside. And then let's double check that IBM, because that was a name that was at some levels. Okay, good. So it is holding, still up that 3%. Obviously, we just talked about Rigetti and all those names. It's nice to see that with a little bit of a wick break there up to 265. But that's, again, at a nice little level there where we could see some selling pressures. If the space ever turns around, they may come for IBM at those levels, because we had just said this name, and I could just ask Google or something, but this is probably one of the biggest moves IBM has had in a while yesterday. So right there in one day. It looks like it has this very similar move right here back January when it has that move, but it stops there. So no, not even really close to that move from yesterday. So we'll wait to see what happens there on IBM, but again, really like that one. Q's, IBIT, right? I mean, the NASDAQ is starting to go higher. Is IBIT going to do that now? I mean, there's IBIT basing out, and I was just noticing the price down here at 76.8. So that's been a pretty interesting spot there. 43.5 or so for IBIT has been the low. Whether or not we want to take that back in, I'm not sure. And then one more, and then we'll figure out what Neil's up to. I did reshort right there Baba, so we're into that one. We'll see what's going on there with Alibaba. But yeah, man, tough day. I feel like for me, just trying to catch some of those trades. Tried the long in Microsoft, and we're in the short here in Alibaba.
Well, it's better than yesterday, and it's like there's not as big. Like yesterday, I keystroked on Intel, and that was my worst stock. At least nothing has been that bad this morning. If we get to VWAP on NVIDIA, that'll get me back. But this is exactly what yesterday was like. It was like it took Tesla and NVIDIA getting to the volume-weighted average price, and then something. What was it in the afternoon?
What we doing?
What was the short in the afternoon? I don't remember. No. It was just something in the afternoon that was a good short. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something I wasn't trading in the morning. It doesn't really matter. But you just had to battle it back, try to keep things in the pocket. So, and ultimately, the other thing that's the same is not exactly the same, but just QBTS. Like, look at these things go. At least yesterday, it did a dip to the price level liked and then broke out. Today, it didn't even bother trying to do that. You're just up there happy about it. But I'd rather be in the trade and not just sitting here happy that the stock you own is going up. Like, it'd be even better. A lot of people have asked about Qualcomm for specific news. There isn't any news specific to Qualcomm that I have seen, and I believe Adara also said no. But was there anything specific on Dell? Not really. Was there anything specific on Tesla? Not really. There's a lot of things that are ramping upside here that it's just we're in a bull market, and some things that people believe have gone too far might be semi-squeezing here potentially, unless we find a specific story. My goodness. One of the best characteristics that we're in a bull market is, or a bull phase for individual stocks. We talked about this with SNDK. When things reach a top, pull back and go into like bear market, so they go 20% pullback. Look at how quickly you get back to the highs. This is true in Qualcomm right now. We pointed this out this morning for AMD. We pointed this out for SNDK. Doesn't matter what you think, it's what's happening. When you're getting good dip buys, they're flying back to the highs. You're not walking back, they're flying back to the highs at this point, which shows you there's some people making some bets that these are making tops and getting blown out when they do it. Now let's go to Adara.
We'll do sector watch here. I also looked into Qualcomm, and apparently the only news I'm seeing is actually maybe not something you just expect to be upside news. Representative Sarah Jacobs, U.S. Representative from California, whose grandfather co-founded Qualcomm, she sold some Qualcomm, and that was disclosed. So that's really all I'm seeing there. But yeah, kind of fun fact there, I guess. Let's take a look here at the sector board, which has a lot of strength. Health tech continuing to do really well. Merck with some positive trial results. I mentioned this on our Trader TV Live watch list, I believe, so you can get more details there. But Eli Lilly has had a strong week. That's continuing. AbbVie, J&J to the upside. Consumer durables all really strong, as discussed here. These auto names. Transportation fairly strong. Process industries strong. Health services, you guessed it, guys, strong. Producer manufacturing doing well. Tech services, with the exception of Palantir and Netflix, mostly to the upside, with the Meg 7s in this category are all relatively flat. Finance, green, electronic tech, other than two of the biggest chip names in the sector, NVIDIA and Broadcom, they're generally going to be strong. I was seeing Intel apparently in talks to buy or acquire a company, so that could be on watch, but I hadn't heard too much about it, so make of that what you will. SanDisk also down here about 1%, while fellow name in that space, Micron, is flat. Back to you.
I mean, quietly, thank you, Adara. Talk about sectors. Quietly making a move is one of Adara's OG stocks. We're here. We have Eli Lilly up 2% and going higher. I mean, it looks like it tried to go higher anyways. It's wicked around this 1070 mark a couple times. We got it immediately there at 940. Then it happened again right now at 1030. So a little bit of a look there for Eli Lilly, one of the picks that I had in the portfolio here moving forward. That we picked him back in January. So I like Eli Lilly. And it did have a huge dip. I mean, I don't even know what was going on with that. Down in there to 850, back up. I mean, this is on a heater. I mean, it's not all chip space, man. And this has nothing to do with these data center build-outs or anything like that. This is now up from 850. So that this was basically May 1st all the way now. And we've got 24% on this monster this month, and that's it's maybe 10 trading days, what Eli Lilly's been doing. So wow, there we go, Eli Lilly. I think, here, let's check. I think finally back to the price that it was when we made those picks on that day here. Let me just double check it right here. Here's Obi. Yo, what's up, Obi? Let's go over to summary tracker. No, it's this one. Yeah, this one shows it better. All right, let's zoom in here a little bit and just see what's up with this one. What? Ramin! There you go, man. Ramin right there, now up 21% as she plays the momentum there. We're up 34 and change. That's Eli Lilly and Marvell. We say thank you very much to that one. That's been good there. Joe, the portfolio average, where is it right here? Oh, very bottom of all of this? Okay, Fabian wants to know. 3.5%. So there we go. We are now up as a group right there on this one. Fabian asking about it. There's Fabian, was on silver, down 10. Mateo, yeah, I know, you're good, Fabian. Neil down 20. Sharif down 8. The chat, chat has BBAI, Tesla, and something else. Brendan with some power names. I like the power names, though. There we go. But Adara, Randy, Joe, Obi, and one more time there. Thank you to Eli Lilly and to Marvell for those ones. Those are your portfolio tracker update. Congratulations to my girl over there, Ramin. Not congratulations to Microsoft. That's going to be a negative stock for me today, but it's trying to battle back up into 418 again. That goes. Finally pulling back is maybe Alibaba. 130 has a marker on it, so I'll put a bid right there so we get a 5%. Hopefully this name does continue to fall down. I don't know. We had written down 129.50. That got busted early, so we stopped out right there at 130. And now we look to see if a short comes in one more time. But yeah, we'll keep on watching out for that one. And yeah, that's what it is. And Big Bear AI was another one, and we'll throw it back to Neil. 420. Okay, so at least bounced off 420. We're long Big Bear AI at 420, and this is a name that was interesting because we'd only gotten out of it when it did this move here, and now we're holding. It should have averaged it in back there, right? But unfortunately, like when we take that, like we talked about stocks that we like. Unfortunately, the price at that time in that portfolio tracker of Big Bear AI was 620. So despite this name falling down, the bangers are there with Marvell and Eli Lilly. And that's why we picked 3 stocks, man. I mean, you never know what's going to happen to any of them at any times. But Corvo, that could have been a good one, too.
Light volume on Corvo. NVIDIA is trying to go, but the market is so much stronger than NVIDIA right now. You look at it, it was able to get to the 17, but it's running into more resistance at 17. Like the market is breaking through VWAP at the pre-market highs and continuing to churn. And all of a sudden, NVIDIA is threatening to break the little upward trend that it put in here, which it's doing. All right, I'm out. If I think it's getting to VWAP, fine, but I'm not going to break a rule. It's like trend in, trend out is usually something that I'll work with. So if you break the trend line up, and then all of a sudden on the dip, it's holding the higher lows in the 3-minute, I'll just jump out of it. So sometimes it's a small win because that's what the rules give you, and you can't do anything about it. Whoops, where's my Oh yeah, that's right, I moved my NASDAQ chart over there for you. No, one of the things that got asked was like, oh, what was your pick that sucked the most? It was AVAV. And the thing I hate about it the most, here we go, here's the daily chart. The thing I hate about it the most is that put it on our picks that we went public with you guys. It's been trash, yet I made money on it, which is what I can't stand. Because it's a time, it's more important about why did you do it. like, why did you do it and where did you get it?
Here's your portfolio
So
here.
every time it comes up, I'll let everyone know, this is the beginning of the year. This is it holding the 200 period moving average in December. This is the reason I liked it. It then confirmed the hold. It went up to like $400 and basically gave you, depending on what you took, 30 to 50% of a win. And then eventually it broke down underneath support levels and I got out of it in my personal account. And I have, every time someone asks me, like, you getting back into this thing? I go, look at this downward trend. No, absolutely not. If it gets above the 50 again and breaks the 50 period after trending down, yes. But until that happens, I don't like buying things on a downward slope like this. So do I like the name? Sure. The problem is the valuation. The problem is they're not making money. So yeah, I believe in the space, but it's not the right time for them yet. And when it is, great, I'll jump back into this thing at some point. But I can allow it to go lower and lower and lower and look for a re-entry point. But at the end of the day, like, a trade is a trade. And when it loses a support level, like an obvious support level like this, like if you can't find that this is an obvious support level when it gets out, and it's been trending down ever since on AVAV. So I do like the stock. I know at some point I'm going to buy it back, and I'm not DCAing into it because it's not, like, this isn't, I don't know, Apple. This isn't GE Vernova, right? They're not making money. They got good revenues, but they're not actually profitable at this point. And when that's the case, or you're just ridiculous valuation, you gotta be more careful where you do get into it. That's the important thing. I think it's, again, like, it's more important, like, the where and the why than anything else when you're making a trade.
Yeah, we can go back. I actually think we should actually go back to that day and we can sort of look at some of the reasons why we did it. Here's some of your other picks, of course. FCX 5% and then CRISPR Therapeutics down. So if you take that away, yeah, it's
CRISPR is very much
much better picks, only down 5%.
CRISPR is very much I think I still think they can get bought out, and I think they can get bought out this year, which is one of the reasons why I like it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I like CRISPR too. That should be a good one there. And this is, the exact same talk for Big Bear AI, right? I mean, we take it because we like the stock, not like the price, and we have to suffer. Unfortunately, we're still up. Fortunately, actually, we're still up because of Marvell. You got to have those home runs, man, when you're taking some risks, and that's what we did there. So Marvell is a good one there. Even when I took Big Bear AI, I was like, this is the risky play that's in there. So it looks like Alibaba is going to come out. I mean, this market, good thing we took a 130 fill right there, right now. But yeah, big congratulations to Ramin on that one. So we'll go forward on that one. Let's go back over to Adara and figure out Wagwan.
We're talking about money, and I did go a couple minutes early because I have comments from Fed's Waller that I want to talk about. We mentioned earlier that he said we don't really need a rate hike right now, but he certainly thinks it's worth it to hold. But further, just now he said, quote, "It's crazy given recent data to be talking about rate cuts in the near future." So Fed's Waller, he said it's not time to hike yet, calling rate cuts, quote unquote, crazy to discuss right now. So let's take a look here at the US dollar. It's continuing to curl and consolidate to the high side. We've had this slightly higher lows over the last couple days here on the DXY. Let's see if we can break out yesterday's high of 99 halves, which also, interestingly enough, is the exact low of that Tuesday, April 7th area from whence we gapped down on the next day. So interesting look here on that DXY daily chart. I want to mention, too, we heard Fed's Waller talking about data. We actually got some more data today. That University of Michigan consumer sentiment print coming in at 44.8, I believe. Now, this is actually, as I alluded to earlier, this is its lowest print in the history of the metric going back to 1952. So lowest ever consumer sentiment print. We got one in April. We got another new record low, unfortunately, here in May. Let's take a look here at the CME FedWatch tool because I put this on the screen earlier. We're starting to see now traders expect a 25 basis point rate hike in December. That does look to be the case, as you can see here. And other than that, we're expecting holds throughout June to October Fed meetings. Here's a look at Kevin Warsh. And why are we bringing him up again? Because he's going to be sworn in as the new chair of the Federal Reserve with U.S. President Trump. That should start in 10 minutes, though, of course, it could always start a little bit late. But either way, I'm going to be here with you guys. I'll take you through that entire Kevin Warsh swearing in hearing as we send you back to Neil and Sean.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be able to do anything to these rates. It looks like the rates will continue to be where they are. We did average, we got a little bit more there on our boy Alibaba, so we'll see if that has a downside play coming through it as well. There it goes. Let's see if we can get a fill. Again, I don't know. Like I thought I just put a. Oh no, I was 129. Oops. We're still waiting for that downside fill there for Alibaba, but there it is. We get it at 130. So 130.05 just filled us. We just reloaded it right there. So yeah, so far so good on that one. And I did want to just quickly go over today we talked about this over and over again. Shout out to Les, who I met there yesterday at High Park. He said, enjoy the fish today. So it is a fish and chips day, but we're still going to do the same old thing that we always do and figure out what they're actually bringing us for lunch. Unfortunately, there's going to be a bunch of plates that will be uneaten today. All right, May 19th to May 22nd, that is right here. So we're going to go over and figure it out. It's the Canadian flag, and it is my absolute favorite lunch. So yeah, that's too bad because it's fish and chips day. If I get fish and chips, maybe it'll be a small piece. It's assorted sandwiches there today. So that's going to be one of my favorite there. Ooh, with Neil's favorite, fresh baked cookies coming through there. We have, it just shows there's some egg salad, grilled chicken. I don't know, that looks like that's what's going to be part. They're just giving some lists of some of the sandwiches there. And then the salad is a nice spring salad with maple syrup dressing. So that is a winning formula today, but we do want to thank everybody for the super chats yesterday. It was
maple syrup dressing.
Yeah, that should be tasty, man. So we say congratulations to all of that. Thank you so much for all the super chats yesterday. You know, you guys absolutely rocked it there, both Sharif and Joe, man. It is our flagship show, and it's about to happen in 7 minutes. So we want to say a big shout out to those guys, man, doing the best. With Adara on the midday. We do have Sia coming back on Tuesday. So now that her schooling's all over with, she'll be back in the building as well. So lots of stuff happening, man, every single day here at Trader TV Live. And we just want to thank everybody for that. And that's what's for lunch today. Yeah, maple syrup dressing should be very tasty.
My wife she went to Savannah on a business trip, and apparently there's this bakery in the south. They obviously make cookies, and there's 4 locations in the south, and they have all these exotic type of cookies. One of them was key lime.
Ooh,
so she
key lime
brings,
cookie.
Yeah, she brings these back. I mean, I don't know. I gotta remember the name of the bakery. I'll probably bring, maybe I'll bring some in if I can. There's not that many. It was like the really small 2, but they were so good. I mean, it was like the best cookie I've had.
Ooh, yeah. That's always nice.
SMR, it's breaking trend again, but I don't want to chase if I can. Like, it's up to the highs. It's like, yeah, break the trend line here and try and grab it a second time, but triple top at the high, break the trend line, look for view up. It might be able to come back and pick me up. We'll see. And then for those asking about NVIDIA, you always have to have a reason. I'm a rules-based kind of trader. Like, once you're going to show me the contacts, like there's my break in, and then it shows me a trend line up. If I'm breaking the trend in, then I'm breaking the trend out. Yesterday, it was pretty much exactly the same trade on Tesla yesterday. Like, Tesla did this. Tesla broke the trend line. It was able to hold support. I actually got in here when it was breaking out to the upside. And then it also broke the trend in and around here at the 418, right? So I ended up with a 414 to 418. If I hold it a little longer, I guess it gets into VWAP there. But I tend to go with those types of rules for a trend trade. By the way, Tesla's going to hit 430 today.
Yeah,
I love that for Tesla. Oh, there was. This is not a story per se, like a news story, but I forget which investor it was, but there was it might have been Dan Ives, now I think about it, was basically saying that he thought that it's not dead, the notion of Tesla and SpaceX eventually merging down the line. Like, Kalshi has it at like 1 in 3. At one point, it was like 70%. If you all align to the betting markets, at one point this year, they were betting 70% that they would merge. That's down into the 30s. But Dan Ives, I'm pretty sure it was Dan Ives, saying that he thinks they could merge. And that would be a bullish reason to be in Tesla, because then you could think down the line, you wouldn't have to buy the SpaceX IPO. It could just happen, and then at some point in the future, you just end up with SpaceX shares because you happen to own Tesla. So that notion isn't dead. I still think it's a non-zero chance. It's not the reason I'm in Tesla, but it certainly doesn't hurt, because I don't want to buy the SpaceX IPO personally. I'd much rather wait for either it to come down or maybe another way to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to come out at an absolutely ridiculous valuation. So you got to be careful with that IPO, that is for sure. I would say, I'll be trading that IPO long immediately off the open, and then we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening with that one, just like CBRS. And again, congratulations to you. I guess your biggest trade of the year there on CBRS. Just wish I was here, a little bit of FOMO, but I congratulated Neil when I heard that.
There's nothing you can do. Like it's.
Well, that was great, man. We know the trade, and you hit it. And
But
that's
like the timing of the IPOs, you can't make your vacation around it. Like
hey, that's what we talked about, right? Like think about it. It's May, all right? The largest trade of the year happened in 5 seconds on that IPO, right? So think about that. Remember I talked about it. This is what you have to do, man. You have to, hit trades that you believe in, put share size on them, and that's what happens. And I mean, just imagine that, right? So you guys will be here on SpaceX. It's looking like it's June 12th.
The biggest liquidity event
Yeah.
Unless you were trading the afternoon of Tesla being added to the S&P 500, then this will be the biggest liquidity event you've seen since. And that's unquestionably. And then OpenAI will be, I don't know, like pretty much like the same thing. And who else?
Anthropic will probably.
Oh no, you're right. Anthropic will be first because Is Anthropic going to be before OpenAI? Because OpenAI has said
Anthropic will be bigger. I don't know who'll be first. I think OpenAI filed. So OpenAI.
Yeah, so OpenAI is going to end up being first. I think they said by September, so we're going to get those two, and then maybe at the end of the year, Anthropic in December to round it off. That'd be fantastic.
I have.
There's not much you can do about that. Like in September, if you happen to be, I'm not going away in September, so I'm not going to miss OpenAI because we never travel in September. But who knows? You take time off in December, you might miss Anthropic.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing at this point.
I mean, I'm a family man, so unfortunately I'm a slave to my daughter and my sons and my wife. So it is what it is. Yeah, but there we go. I think it's very important that we make that point that, like, that's when you want to put risk on, when you have something and you know that it works and you want to sort of level it up. That's why we're on prop floors. That's why you do those kind of things. We talked about the graduation rate of like less than 8% or something on prop floors, including this one. So you got to be very, very careful about what you're doing and make sure that the risk is there. And look, 8%, I mean, I don't know, it's tough. And that's just to graduate. That's not even to make money. We've had so many traders here that will take a trade like that on SpaceX, on Cerebras, or on some of those imbalances, and that's the only paycheck they ever get, but it manages to be a graduation level. So, you got to be very, very careful about where you're disposing your capital, and this game could end you really quickly, or it can really, set you up for big success later on. I only have one trade right now, Alibaba.
There's no way.
And there it is right there. So we're going to wait to see what winds up happening. I mean, we just averaged back into this one, Alibaba, and we're going to let it fall. Like my next bid is in the 60s because that's just where we've got it before. And then we'll let it go to VWAP, and then we'll wind up watching what's happening. I don't think this is a free fall kind of a day, but the NASDAQ has just been slowly grinding higher, which makes me a little nervous about holding any shorts.
You're not going to believe this stuff.
Yeah, which one?
It's not there yet, but I'm unequivocally saying no.
Ooh.
And there's a reason why.
Come on.
Oftentimes, if anybody puts out like a challenge, and thank you, Zion, and I think somebody else even said something like this, if I'm saying I'll eat pineapple pizza if, it's something ridiculous. Or like, I don't remember what it was. It was something completely asinine.
Oh, you said if NVIDIA moved.
Yeah, it was something, someone had some ridiculous downward target on NVIDIA after earnings. I'm like, it's not happening. So like, I'll eat pineapple pizza if NVIDIA goes down that much. ARM getting to $325, that would be impressive.
Hopefully today.
But come on, man. Like ARM, whoops, and there isn't any.
ARM's gonna get there today.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like you're now $12.
Oh, ARM.
Like it would have to be, like if you said 350, happily, but you're talking 325. That's a little too. That's not out there enough. It's got to be something. If I'm going to get punished, then I don't mind. We'll do something fun. Just come up with something that's really extreme. If the funny thing about it is, if you had said that at 9:30, there's an outside chance I would have agreed to it, and even then, I'm not sure I would have. But no, I'll be very happy if ARM gets to 325 for sure. 350, fine. I'll eat pineapple pizza on Tuesday if it gets to 350.
Alibaba coming back down.
Not today because it's fish and chips day.
Yes, Alibaba coming back down, and we just got a fill there, so that's a good one, and we just got 60s there, so here we go again. All right, bye-bye, everybody. Thank
11.
you for a great show. Thank you, Adair, for all the news breaks there. Thank you to Michael Noss earlier on this morning as well. It's Sharif, Joe. Thanks, Tiffany, Andre, Fabian, Ramin, everybody that's working there hard in the back. Fish and Chips Day. Ciao until 2 p.m.
Peace.